This is exactly where you want to be listening to us. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
On again, and it is perfect. Blaze double clutch, throws it down the right field line. A run is in. 4-2 Cincinnati. Squeezes on, and it's perfect. Nobody covered first. 2 sacrifices in the inning for the Reds, and it's led to 2 runs. It's 5-2.
Yeah, it is a tough one. I like what we were able to do at the end there and fight back. Came up short. I thought Libby did a really nice job. At the end of the day, you play a doubleheader, and then we're trying to be really smart with Leahy. So you cap him at 5. You know that going into it. So you need to try to get 6 today out of Libby, if not more. Fortunately, their big dude hits a homer for 3 runs. Which puts you behind, and at that point, you get some unfavorable matchups with Brule being the guy that has to throw an inning.
I can live with the home run that you gave up yesterday. I can live with it. It's frustrating, sucks, didn't enjoy it, but that's the moment that I think a lot of Cardinals fans are focusing on, audio courtesy of Cardinals TV and the Reds TV network. Alex, the moments that I would focus on happened in the 8th inning.
Yep.
Because sometimes the other guy beats you. Sal Stewart leads the National League in RBIs this year. He is number 1. He's overtaken your guy, Alec Burleson, for that crown, which, by the way, we'll get into here momentarily. Gonna guess that'll influence some of the voters.
Probably calling the Rookie of the Year by now.
When it comes to NL Rookie of the Year. But that guy gets a lot of pitchers. That's not new. That's not surprising. What is surprising is the way the Cardinals completely melted down defensively in the 8th inning. You had the wild pitch. You had a horrible throw by Blaze Jordan after the double clutch. I understand it's raining, but still, if you know that it's raining and you've got a bad read on the play, eat it. Understand that the worst thing you can do in that spot is give him an extra base.
Yeah.
They do that, they end up scoring a run because of it. And then it continues with Alec Burleson not having proper communication with Brule on who was going to cover first and what the plan was in that spot if there was a bunt attempt, where I think Burleson thought the play was going to be at home. Brule thought the play was going to be at first. They weren't on the same page, and it gives them another free out in the inning when the inning should have been over right then and there. That should have been it. But it continued because they failed to make the defensive plays that were necessary. So, Alex, I think a lot of people today are focusing on the managerial decision of not taking Libby out when the bullpen was fried, as we had mentioned yesterday going into the game. And I think the attention should be focused on the defensive lapses that took place in that 8th inning, which ultimately led to you losing 5-4 against the Reds in Cincy.
I 100% expected to come on the show today, BK, and us talking about another bad start for Matthew Liberatore. I expected it. I expected Matthew Liberatore to be the sole focus of the Cardinals' demise in this matchup, and he was great. Like, he was awesome. He had a blow-up, but I'm with you. That blow-up wasn't so much of me being frustrated with Matthew Liberatore as much as it's, look, your bullpen was just in a tough spot and you needed to get an extra inning out of Matthew Liberatore. And you matched up against Sal Stewart. He beat you. He's really good right now. You take that. But you know the Cardinals, and we've talked about them, we've compared it to them a lot this season, are cockroaches. Because if it's a one-run game, you can be damn certain the Cardinals are going to find a way to pull themselves back into it. And what's wild about it is you'd think we'd be talking about Jordan Walker's home run, of pulling the team back into it and doing what he did in the first half of the season, of being an MVP-esque player by pulling off those moments. But you're not, because of a blunder defensively, which it brought you back to a couple of years ago with the Cardinals, to where it was like, man, every little thing goes wrong with this team and they can't be perfect. But when your bullpen is shot like they have been, and when you need everything to go right, it just was a reminder of that's the area that you're deficient in at third base. And I hate taking shots at Blaze Jordan because he's been fine there, but those are the moments where you need a third baseman that you can trust to come up with the big play. And you're right, BK, just eat it in that scenario. But then you have the miscommunication. The game fell apart in the 8th, and it's just because the Cardinals couldn't afford, or they couldn't find a way to remain perfect. And unfortunately, that's the type of team you're at right now. So for me, yeah, I mean, that's the inning that you'd watched. I mean, they put a really good game against Chase Burns. You got to the bullpen.
Yeah.
You kept it close. You found a way to pull yourself back into it. But you're not looking at this saying, well, our offense didn't come through for us. You're not looking at this saying, well, our pitching hurt us in this game. No, you're looking at this saying our fielding hurt us, and that's something that rarely has happened this season for the Cardinals.
Put it this way. We had set it up, I think, pretty well yesterday, leading into that one, where it was like, hey, your bullpen's fried. I said, I think all of your top arms are down. Like your top 4 guys when it comes to your bullpen, not available today because of what they've been throwing in recent days, where they've been trying to get these games. The doubleheader is part of it, but a lot of it is just, hey, man, they're in a stretch right now where they are incentivized to go for it while they're still in the mix for the playoff race. So the one quote-unquote leverage arm you have is Luis Gastelum, and beyond that, it was like Caleb Ferguson and Justin Brule. I legitimately think those might have been the 3 arms you had available yesterday coming out of the bullpen. Yeah. Nobody wants to see Ferguson right now. That guy's been awful for you so far this season. And you know who knows him better than anybody? The Reds. Because he was just there. So you don't want him going into that game. Brule's at least been good for you this year, but the matchups aren't great in this particular series, especially at the top of the lineup where they've got a bunch of righties that crush left-handed pitching. So your option there was Luis Gastelum for an inning. That's it. You want him to get a clean inning if possible. So you've got to go to Libby for that 6th inning. It's tough. It's frustrating. But if I had told you going in, because of the way that the bullpen was set up, tonight you're going to get 6 innings, 4 hits, 9 strikeouts, 0 walks, and 3 earned runs from Matthew Liberatore. How do you feel about it? I would have said, dude, press the button. I cannot wait to see what that looks like. That's an ideal Matthew Liberatore start today. Unfortunately, your offense was 3 for 11 with runners in scoring position at the Great American Ballpark.
Not great.
Your bullpen had Justin Brule come into the game. He throws a wild pitch, which advances a runner, which on the next at-bat, because of a bad defensive play by Blaze Jordan, he not only advances, but he scores because of it. They end up being able to steal second base because you've got a guy behind the plate right now that isn't really great at anything, if we're being honest, with Jimmy Crooks. And then they have another bunt single where you've got a bad miscommunication. I mean, it was letdown after letdown after letdown. It was mental errors. It was physical errors. It was a whole lot of everything. But I'm not caping for Matthew Liberatore today. I'm just saying if you had told me ahead of time, 6 innings, 3 earned runs, 9 strikeouts, no walks, I would have signed up for it in a heartbeat. I mean, and that's ultimately what you got from him. I mean, he's not the reason you lost.
No, not at all. And I mean, we can do a little caping for Matthew Liberatore because, frankly, what have we been talking about with him? Get this guy out of the rotation, put Quinn Matthews there. He's not going to be able, he's going to hurt you moving forward. Well, 3 of his last 4 starts, he has not hurt you. The team has hurt you, or the lack of bullpen has hurt you. Your offense has hurt you, but Matthew Liberatore hasn't. That felt more like a Matthew Liberatore start from the early portion of the season than the latter part, because he had 9 strikeouts and he kept it close, and it was 1 blow-up. If that pitch to Sal Stewart doesn't happen, we're talking about an immaculate outing, and I know it happened. But the 8th inning and the blunders from the defense, which rarely happens with Alec Burleson and the pitcher. Like, that's just a miscommunication. I'll allow that one to take place.
Bad moment.
The Blaze Jordan one is the one that you focus in on. And it sucks because it's raining and it's a bunt play and you double pumped on it. But it's more of the reason why that's the area that you're most efficient in.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things that really showed up yesterday. One, this bullpen is just like 1 or 2 arms short. And you can feel that as you're in the mix for the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I think if you were a team that had a little more depth in the minor leagues right now, you wouldn't have felt it as much. Like, this should be a situation where they feel comfortable yesterday calling up one of their minor league arms to give them some length coming out of the bullpen. Like, Matt Swanson or Ryan Fernandez should have been up in that spot. I'm not saying I'm upset with Chaim Bloom for not doing so. I'm saying those guys should have forced their hand by pitching better in AAA to where you felt comfortable with it. Right. But you don't. I don't feel good about either of those guys coming up right now. You should feel comfortable about Bryson Motts, my guy, coming up right now to give you length out of the bullpen on a day like that where you really need it. But they don't feel confident in that right now, and so you can't call him up. So instead, you're left with your current options, and they're fried. My guess is Strzelecki is completely unavailable yesterday. The guy had thrown like 50 pitches 2 days prior. You're not going to go back to him. Basically, everybody else had pitched already 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5.
Yep.
again, you're not going to those guys. You've got to keep them healthy for the stretch run here for the rest of the season. That's the number one priority over any one day. And you felt it. You felt it in that sixth inning where you really needed one more right-handed arm to be able to come out of the bullpen, and you didn't have it. You didn't have it available for you as the manager. And then you look at third base. As you mentioned, Alex, I think you've been feeling the defense with Blaze Jordan lately.
Yeah.
It's a few games now where
it's 3 in his last week.
You can see it, and it's hurting him. It's hurting the team that he's not able to make some of these plays, or there are plays where he tries to do too much like yesterday. That's him trying to do too much. Once you don't get a clean grip, it's raining, and you're probably not going to be able to make this throw down to first. Again, just let it be.
Was that the equivalent of Herrera in New York trying to make that jump throw to second?
Not quite as wild, but yeah, more or less.
Both of them, you probably say, hey, don't do that again. Maybe more so to Herrera. But, yeah, I mean, that's just it. You felt the game slipping through their fingers, and Blaze tried to save it himself. And that's one of those moments. And look, some of that's just learning. Some of that is learning with younger players, and those things do happen. But that's learning in the moment. Hey, our pitcher will get us through the next one. Just eat this and don't let the game get away from you. Because the moment that throw happened, I know more took place. To me, felt like the game was over.
From the 314, BK, you defended all his moves in the doubleheader because you said it set the Cardinals up better for the rest of the series, and now you're defending him because of how the pen was set up from earlier in the series. You can't have it both ways. I said on, I think it was Tuesday, I guess would have been the doubleheader. My reaction to that was they had no alternative. This is all you can do in that spot if you're Ollie Marmol because of the lack of options out of the pen. You can't throw a guy 2 times on one day. That's not something that a manager is going to do. You can say you want it, but then 3 days later when the guy goes on the IL, you'll complain about it. And I'm with you. In the moment, it feels better when you can have a better option available to you. But they didn't have one in that spot. Strzelecki was awesome, and then he gives up the homer. And yesterday, Matthew Liberatore was awesome, and then he gave up the homer. Who did you want them to go to in that spot? Genuinely asking. I was texting with a buddy last night where he was mad.
I think somebody mentioned keeping Gastelum out there for the next inning.
Well, he's not going. He can't. If you put Gastelum into that inning for Matthew Liberatore, he's not pitching the next one. So now you have to pitch Ferguson. You feeling good about that?
No, and you're not pitching Ferguson in that game. I have to imagine Ollie said off limits in this situation.
But that's it. That's all you've got.
Yep.
You've got 3 options here. Really, I guess 4. 1, keep Libby in the game. 2, go to Gastelum there. But then if you do, the byproduct of that is Ferguson's coming out for the next inning. Nobody wants that. 3, you go to one of Ferguson or Brule, both of which are terrible matchups there. Yep. As we saw later in the game when Brule came in and blew up for that spot in the lineup.
So go through this for a minute with me. Let's say that they took Libby out in the 5th and they come out with Gastelum in the 6th. You're in a 2-run game.
I don't think that's where it was, though. People wanted in the 6th inning
before
for Matthew Liberatore after he gives up the double and the single. So now you've got 1st and 3rd, 1 out, Stewart coming up to the plate. In that spot, people wanted them to go to the pen.
Yeah.
And when you go to the pen for Stewart, I'm guessing the option that people wanted was Gastelum there. Okay, let's say they go to Gastelum there. He gets Stewart out, he gets Myers out. That was best case scenario. You are now up 2-0 going into the top of the 7th. The result of that is now going into the 8th, you have to go to Brule or Ferguson for the next 2 innings.
Yeah, and
to
then
be able to close that thing out.
And then
good luck. You don't feel good about that.
Well, but then you're using Ferguson in the 9th, right?
Correct.
Yeah. No, that game is you're losing that
Ferguson
game.
or Brule against the top of the order.
In
the spot
closing.
that we just said is a really bad part of the order because you're going up against De La Cruz, Stewart, Myers, Suarez.
Yeah.
None of us feel comfortable with that.
You're losing that game still.
So really the question was, what do you feel better about? Libby making a pitch here and getting out of this spot after he's been great the entire game, or going to one of Brule or Ferguson in the 9th? Though that's basically what you're judging here. And I think they made the correct decision in, hey, Libby's the guy. He got to 2 strikes, made a bad pitch. You live with it. Sometimes that happens. Sal Stewart, tip your cap. That guy's having a great year. He beat you yesterday. But the bigger issue, again, is you can't then assume you're going to have terrible defense in the 8th inning, and they did.
Yeah.
They melted down in the 8th inning and didn't give themselves a shot when they should have had an opportunity to win that game. And that's now 2 games in this series that you've been a pitch away from being able to win. You were a pitch away from stealing one in the doubleheader. You were a pitch away yesterday from stealing one in that game when your bullpen was fried. And those are, unfortunately, the margins for this team right now. They are really close to being right there in the wild card race. But because of some of the deficiencies on the roster, most notably in the bullpen, they're just on the outside looking in.
Yeah. It's the part that you're at that you recognize is the part that you're going to have to fix. And most contenders do worry about their bullpen last while they worry about everything else. I think internally they're probably still focused in on what do we do at third base long-term with this team? How do we get more pitchers in the rotation that could give us 5 for sure with more swing and miss stuff? But the bullpen is the area that essentially might be the reason the Cardinals missed the playoffs this year.
I agree.
And again, I'm not going to be upset about it. This season has been night and day better than what I expected it to be. But it does remind you there's still a ways to go for where the Cardinals are hoping to get to.
Can we take a listen to Blaze Jordan getting thrown out at home?
I don't really want to, man. That part, I honestly, if you were to put on a scale Blaze's pump fake with the throw to first and being the error and Blaze getting tagged out at home, I think tagged out at home pissed me off more.
He was trying so hard.
On the ground his first time. He rips this one to right center field. That's down to the gap all the way to the wall. Sprint to third by Jordan. Wave is on. Ellie relay to the plate. It's there. It is out. What a throw.
It's one of the hardest throws in the StatCast era. I think it was 99.6 miles per hour. I mean, he made a perfect throw. Ugh. Also, as the camera panned to Blaze Jordan, you can see him. He's pumping those arms. Yeah. He's moving his legs as quick as he can. Yeah. He's not moving very quick, but he's running. He's sprinting.
It was just a matter of inches at the plate, right?
I just don't think his legs get moving faster than that.
Ellie winds up. The camera then pans over to Ellie De La Cruz, one of the strongest arms in all of Major League Baseball. One of the only guys that might actually have a stronger arm than Mason Wynn. You see him gearing up as Blaze Jordan rounds third. You're like, oh, boy, this is not going to be good.
Do you think Blaze, when he's rounding second, is going, oh, bleep, oh, bleep, oh, bleep, oh, bleep, oh, bleep, oh, bleep?
I mean, he was booking it, man.
Yeah,
he was trying his best.
They should have stopped him.
If you were curious, what would it have looked like if they had sent Mason Wynn home in that game? Was that 10 days ago or whatever on a Sunday? That's what it would have looked like.
Yeah.
It would have looked like that, where he's out by about 4 feet.
I mean, look, the catcher
I think he slid in after they caught the...
He did. The catcher had caught, received, and turned before Blaze even decided to slide. And I think he was debating sliding because it was kind of a half-ass one where it was like, you got me, man.
Bless his heart, though.
Oh,
no, I would have stopped. You got to stop him there. Come on, man.
That was amazing.
Don't let him go. That's ridiculous.
I get it. You're going against Chase Burns. You feel like, all right, like we've got a real shot here to score a run. It's going to be tough to do that over the course of this one. So you get aggressive. You force them to make a perfect throw. And they did. They made the perfect throw.
I don't know, man. I think I would take my chances with anybody in that scenario other than Blaze. Like, and it's no disrespect to him, but like, there's no top speed. You can't top out in that. And like, you're rounding third, knowing Ellie bleeping De La Cruz is going to wind up. Like, would another team do that on Mason Wynn if they know he's receiving it?
They might.
Oh, God, I don't think so. The hope there is, I guess, he just overthrows the catcher in that spot.
Man, that was... It's quite the moment in this game. Alongside Alex and Bradford on BK, if you guys want to get involved in the show, you can do so. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. You can check us out on YouTube, where the Graveyard Chat is up and running at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. In 15 minutes, Mizzou has some new costumes. We'll talk about it here on BK and Ferrario. But next, the Reds broadcast booth had some interesting comments yesterday about the NL Rookie of the Year race. I wonder who they think should win the NL Rookie of the Year, Alex.
J.J. Weatherholt, obviously.
We'll let you listen to it next here on 101 ESPN.
You can now listen to 101 ESPN on demand. Get caught up on all our shows and podcasts at 101ESPN.com or on the 101 mobile app. 101 ESPN podcasts are presented by the Schaefer Door Company. 101 ESPN has your shot to score a pair of passes to Holiday World and Splash and Safari. Keep summer going with a summer wind down culinary fest at Holiday World and Splash and Safari now through September 13th. Enjoy incredible food, local wines, and all your favorite rides and slides. Find your chance to win a pair of free passes right now at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 mobile app. Savor the season and get tickets at holidayworld.com. They are St. Louis. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
Smoke center failed. Church going way back. Gone off the batter's eye. With 2 strikes, down 2 runs. But the deuce, a 3-run shot, and it's 3-2 Cincinnati. My goodness.
That is your National League and really all of Major League Baseball, I believe. RBI leader. I should double check that. I know for sure National League.
Wow, just throwing out stats without knowing.
RBI leader Sal Stewart.
I thought you were going to say that is your National League Rookie of the Year.
No, not yet. 27 homers, 24 doubles, 94 ribbies, also 12 stolen bases. Yeah, leads Major League Baseball now, overtaking one Alec Burleson for that nominee. Alex, the Reds broadcast, and that's where that audio is courtesy of the Reds TV network, yesterday had some interesting thoughts on the National League Rookie of the Year race. Of course, Sal Stewart, their big candidate over there in Cincinnati, going up against J.J. Weatherholt in this specific series. Here's the radio broadcast talking things over.
The only reason that Weatherholt is at the top of the list is because of a subjective look at defensive metrics. Everybody tries to talk about all this data about the defensive alignment and how people catch the ball and all that. If the ball's not hit right at you, it's a base hit. There are no errors given out anymore. It's crazy. That's not a good case. 26 and 91. That's home runs and RBIs for Sal Stewart on the worst offensive team in the big leagues. Where would this team be without Sal Stewart? They'd be even worse.
Right. You could make a strong case that he would be the MVP of this team.
I mean, there's a chance that Sal Stewart will have 30 home runs and 100 RBIs, and you're going to tell me he's not the absolute blown away front runner because you got a guy that everybody says is fielding good? Come on, man.
Ground ball foul, third base side.
Then they should make Brian Hayes the MVP.
Old man, my ass. He channeled his inner Charles Barkley. Come on, man.
I mean, listen, I basically said all of that yesterday. Yeah. Far be it for me to disagree with the man.
I mean, look, I hate saying it because I thought for the longest time Weatherholt was going to be there, but he's not wrong. Like, when I think of the best rookie, and think of in other sports as well, like just go down the hockey path. Like, you're not talking about a guy winning Rookie of the Year for how incredible of a defensive player he is. You're talking about a damn guy who's putting the puck in the net, right? Or you're talking about a goalie who's making absurd saves.
How do we score points or score runs?
Yes.
That is what drives these awards. For better or for worse, but that's what leads to it.
I love J.J. Weatherholt, and you said it yesterday, and you're right. If I'm building around a player long term, I'm building around J.J. Weatherholt over a Sal Stewart because I don't know what that looks like year in and year out. But we're not going to act as if almost hitting 30 home runs, coming up in a clutch situation, nearly 100 RBI at the end of the season, and we're not going to compare that to a guy who's hit 13 home runs and has been elite defensively. So he's going to be number 2, maybe number 3, because I know Nolan McLean has kind of picked up the pace lately, but I hate agreeing with the other side, but he's not wrong. Like, Sal Stewart is the most impressive rookie this season, just in terms of getting to 30 home runs and 100 RBI.
NL Rookie of the Year conversation has taken over my Twitter feed over the last 24 hours. And Mike Petriello of MLB Network says, too much NL MVP talk, not enough talk about the NL Rookie of the Year. Weatherholt has wild defensive metrics. Binge may be the best all-around player. Stewart is going to test the power of the RBI. McLean just might be the player I think will have the best career of the 4. There are 4 really good rookies that are deserving of this award this year. Mm-hmm. I genuinely cannot remember a time in which we said a player is deserving of an award because of defense. And I say that about Rookie of the Year, about MVP. Like, there are gold gloves for that. And I believe that J.J. Weatherholt should and probably will win the gold glove for second base this year. He is deserving of that honor. And if Stewart weren't having this kind of a season, I think he would be deserving of the National League Rookie of the Year. Unfortunately, he's participating in a year in which a National League rookie is on pace right now to hit more than 30 home runs and drive in more than 100 RBIs and have more than 15 stolen bases. Dude, those numbers, those just raw numbers, win NL Rookie of the Year every single time. Mm-hmm. Unless he's going up against like Shohei Ohtani. It's the only scenario where I wouldn't be voting for this guy for NL Rookie of the Year. Or maybe Ronald Acuna Jr. because he just did this but better. Yeah. You know, with more base running and better defense.
Yeah. I mean,
but like, your numbers better be close if I'm going to talk about defense in an award like this.
That's the thing. I mean, what area do you look at and say like, oh, well, Sal Stewart's been... or J.J. Weatherholt's been better than Sal Stewart. I mean, slugging percentage, Sal's been better. Batting average, it's been better. On-base percentage is pretty damn close for both sides. He swings and misses a lot. He's got 120 strikeouts, but the dude has almost hit 30 home runs, and he's got more doubles than that. And
so that's the part that I think is really important. I'm glad you brought up the doubles because I've seen a lot of talk among Cardinals fans of, hey, one plays at Busch, the other plays at Great American Ballpark, and that's definitely a factor. Right? Like, I'm not going to completely write that off. However, Busch Stadium rates really well for doubles. It is a stadium that actually is in the top 10 for doubles this season. Meanwhile, I don't know if people realize this, but Great American Ballpark for about 3 years now has actually been a bad ballpark for anything other than homers. Mm-hmm. It's actually been pretty pitcher-friendly. You can just hit a lot of home runs there. Sal Stewart has 24 doubles on the season despite playing at a bad doubles park. J.J. Weatherholt, playing in one of the best doubles park, most friendly doubles parks in America, has 14. I don't think that's going to continue in the future. I think you will see J.J. Weatherholt eventually hit 30-plus doubles. I think that's where his swing should be at its best. This year, it has not been the case, though, and so that is something that I would say is used against him. Is that he's not hitting for more doubles because that slugging percentage for him is at 375 right now. It should be much higher than that. Doubles count towards that number, not just homers. If he had, 30-ish doubles on the season, I think we'd be having a different conversation right now.
How about this one for you? I was looking at it because, my stat that I love the most, runners in scoring position. Sal Stewart, the most, or tied for the most home runs in Major League Baseball with 12. Do you know who he's tied with? Jordan Walker.
There you go.
But he's got the most RBI. He's got a 320 batting average. He's got over 1,000 OPS with runners in scoring position. Again, I hate saying it because Weatherholt, in my opinion, has been the clear-cut Rookie of the Year winner almost all season up until Sal has gone on this stretch over the last couple of months in terms of the home runs. But every category you're looking at, Sal Stewart is better in that spot, other than defense.
And he's basically their Jordan Walker.
Yes.
Sal Stewart this year, 27 homers, 12 stolen bases. The list of Major League players with at least 25 homers and 10 stolen bases this year. It's PCA, James Wood, Miguel Vargas, Jordan Walker, Sal Stewart. I'm sorry, man. Sometimes you tip your cap. Vegas still says that it's J.J. Weatherholt's award to lose. If you want to win a little bit of money, I would go ahead and bet on Sal Stewart at plus 185 to win the National League Rookie of the Year this year. I think that's the way that this is ultimately going to go. For better, or for Cardinals fans, for worse. Coming up in about 15 minutes, 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. But next, Mizzou has some new costumes, Alex. Let's talk about them on the other side.
101 ESPN is powered by Kaufman Townsley, St. Louis's injury lawyers. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
Start your day with the morning after on 101 ESPN. Get in the know first on everything St. Louis sports with Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, and Martin Kilcoy. Listen to TMA weekday mornings from 7 to 11 a.m. on 101 ESPN. The morning after is presented by Brown and Crouppen Law Firm. 101 ESPN Sports Center.
Cards try subduing Stewart in series finale. Good morning, I'm Bradford Bruns. Your Sports Center update is driven by Universal Windows Direct. Mere moments from now, the Cardinals close out a 5-game set against Cincinnati. Michael McGreevy facing fellow righty Brady Singer. Last night at Great American Ballpark, Sal Stewart's 3-run blast helping Cincy beat St. Louis 5-4. Next hour, San Francisco heading to Cleveland, while AL Best Tampa Bay hosts Toronto. BMW Championship Belle Reeve style, Justin Rose and Wyndham Clark among those golfers teeing off. Rory McIlroy as well as Scotty Scheffler taking center stage this afternoon. Your Sports Center update was powered by Universal Windows Direct. You'll be saying, I love my windows.
Giving you the picture, the real big St. Louis sports picture. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
New Mizzou jerseys yet, Alex? New Mizzou uniforms?
Yeah, buddy. I saw them, and I was in the room when you got a little excited. I thought I needed to step out for a couple of minutes.
For anybody that hasn't, it's the 100th anniversary edition of the Mizzou football uniforms. And I needed a cigarette and a sandwich earlier.
No, I
got a little hot and bothered.
For a uniform that looks like the Colorado uniform, I was a little surprised at how excited you were.
Actually, Colorado's uniform looked like Mizzou's old uniforms, if we're being real here.
Okay.
They still are look, not the other way around.
I'm paying the price for not donning the apparel this week. What is going
2
on?
in a row, Bradford. Man. This is trash.
They've got the block M back and it's center stage. It's right on the collar for Mizzou in the middle. It's also on the helmet. Featured prominently over there.
It's nice.
It's the old school gold. They've got more of like a yellow going on right now. It used to be very like old gold. That's what they've got as the secondary color on these jerseys, which I personally prefer. They're also using those as the pants for this jersey. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out at Mizzou Football over on Twitter. It's awesome. They've got the 6 columns featured on the helmet as well. Alex, I know you call yourself a Mizzou fan, but let's be real. You've got the Lindenwood Lion roar in your heart.
Roar, baby.
What'd you think of my Tigers and the uniforms they're going to be wearing against Troy this year?
I'm never going to ish on a fan that gets excited about jerseys that come out because I'm the guy that when those retro jerseys came out, I about lost my cool, wanted to buy like 15 of them. I didn't have the same reaction that you and Bradford did. I didn't really need a sandwich and a cigarette. I was just like, yeah, they look kind of nice. And that was about it for me. But I totally understand it, especially when you go back into the history vault and you find ways to pull out those older styles and bring them back. That it wins every time. I mean, look at people's reaction to the Blues. Oh, we found another one, Bradford.
They've got a 100th anniversary collection for like shirts and hats over on the team store right now. I was unaware of this.
How much are they?
Who's wearing that? It
Hats
doesn't
are
matter.
$30.
Oh, there you go.
Hoodies $85.
Hoodies are always more.
A t-shirt is $35. All right, yeah, I'm gonna have to get myself one of these hats. Sorry, apologies.
No. Hey, man.
Mizzou football team store.
Do you need another second? Do you need me to get you a sandwich or something?
This is one of the coolest things Mizzou's put out in a while. Like
when was the last time they did something with their jerseys?
They did their jerseys a few years ago. The new ones that they've got, they kind of went more toward the simplified version of their jerseys because they got a little weird there for the mid-2000s. Like when I was there, the anthracite stuff didn't do anything for me. Yeah,
everyone has their off phases.
They tried to become Oregon there for a while. I was like, hey, less is more.
Yeah, that was like when the Blues did that big like circle brand with the arch on the front. I was like, could have done without that one.
I think their current jerseys are really nice. Yeah. I think they've done a good job with them, but this is my favorite.
They're only wearing it for one game?
As far as we know right now, it's a 100th anniversary. I believe they're expected to wear them for the game against Troy. I think that's what they're specifically for. But my guess is they'll probably wear them again in the future because they've had a pretty good rollout with this so far.
You had mentioned about 7 times in a row that you really like them. So I Now that we're talking about it here, now I really know. You really like him.
September 19th, 11:45, just got a lot more exciting.
That's right.
So
you guys, man, in your jerseys.
We're looking forward to that. Unfortunately, the Chewing Clock podcast not looking forward to this Mizzou football season. Take a listen, Alex.
The Chewing Clock podcast.
My third and final bold prediction is this. I think Eli Drinkwitz works his way back onto the hot seat. I think he is on one of the, I won't say the hottest seat, certainly going into 2027, but I think we're having more conversations around Eli Drinkwitz's hot seat than we are talking about he's won X amount of games in Y amount of years. Again, I am not a believer in Missouri this year. I am selling Missouri stock. I think Mizzou is a fringe bowl team. I've got them missing a bowl game at 5-7. I think no matter what it is, 5-7, 6-6, even if it's 7-5, I do think Eli Drinkwitz, no matter what, is going to work his way back onto the hot seat to the point where that is a talking point going into 2027 season.
That is the Chewing Clock podcast on Mizzou football.
I disagree.
I can't imagine there are very many coaches in college football that are on less of a hot seat than Eli Drinkwitz heading into the season.
I think everybody, even at Mizzou, is looking at this schedule going, it's going to be a down year for us, and that's okay.
Outside of the new hires in the SEC, the coaches that I think are on less of a hot seat right now than Eli Drinkwitz are probably Kirby Smart, Mike Elko.
The fact that you had to pause for a few seconds.
And I think that's it. I think he is like the third best job security in the SEC among current head coaches right now.
Yeah.
Am I missing somebody that immediately comes to mind for you? Because like DeBoer, definitely not. That guy, like if he loses 5 games this year, he might be gone.
DeBoer, they won it out after last season, the second game.
I still think Stark is very, very safe, and Longhorns are going to be awesome. So, yeah, he's not in that territory.
I don't know, man. I wouldn't be so certain on that. If they lose 3 or 4 games this year and miss the playoffs, I don't think that's going to happen. But if for whatever reason that did take place, I think Texas fans would be like, all right, so you haven't been able to get over the top with this collection of talent. When's it going to happen?
Although, do you remember post-Mac Brown how awful it was, how putrid it was for a decade? How quickly we forget. Those individuals.
I agree with you, but Texas is different. And the expectations there when you have a good team are win or else. And the or else is go. get out. We'll find somebody else that can do it here, even if they're wrong more often than not. But like South Carolina, no. Heupel, I don't know, man. At some point, he's probably going to be, if not on the hot seat, certainly feeling it. Drinkwitz could lose 5 games this year, and I don't think anybody would be calling for his job, at least not anybody that's rational.
Yeah, because not one person that is a fan of Mizzou is looking at this upcoming season saying playoff or bust. Like, everybody understands what's at stake here. Like, your defense is completely new. You're bringing in a new quarterback. I don't think anybody is putting the pressure. Like 2 years ago was when we talked about it, when they were coming off of a great year. They had Luther Burden, and you were like, yeah, you need to be in the playoff conversation. That was when at least you could have the conversations. But now, no, this guy could lose 7 games, and I think it'd be fine.
Few people saying Clark Lee should be on this list. I don't know. I think Eli Drinkwitz is more stable at Mizzou than Clark Lee is at Vandy.
I love his job security. He just re-upped too. Yeah.
Clark Lee. No, I think he is secure. Don't get me wrong. But the reason that I say I would have Drink a little higher on this list is because he's done it for longer. Clark Lee basically he moved an entire football program under his umbrella. We'll see if he can do that without Diego Pavia. We don't know how good he is as an offensive mind or what the offensive side of the ball is going to look like this year. Again, I think he's a good coach, but I don't have as much confidence in the long-term builds with Clark Lee right now as I do with Drinkwitz, who's done it with multiple different coordinators, with multiple different quarterbacks, and who has found a way to stabilize things at Mizzou for more than just a couple of seasons, which is really all you can say right now about Vandy.
And frankly, put it this way, if you fall 5 times, but you fall to the individuals, the teams on your schedule that are going to be favored in those contests, I don't think anyone bats an eye. When you look at the schedule this year, guys, and you consider, yes, you are hosting a Texas A&M. You follow up by traveling to Oxford, and you still have Texas, Georgia, as well as Oklahoma down the stretch. The only reason for skepticism would come if, for whatever reason, let's say, and I understand that when you're talking about even a Mississippi State, you're traveling there, you lose one early or you lose one later in the campaign to, say, a Kentucky, a team that you are supposed to have exceeded right now in terms of expectations. Only then, and I'm not saying it becomes a conversation, but perhaps a germ of an idea heading into next year.
Is it a bold prediction to say that Vanderbilt will go 6-6 or worse this year?
Oh, no.
Okay, people think that?
Oh, this year?
Yeah.
I'm definitely on train. Yeah.
Okay, just making sure, because they've got at Georgia, at Auburn, home against Ole Miss, home against Bama, at Florida, and home against Tennessee. I think they probably lose all 6 of those games.
Yeah.
And that's not including road games against Kentucky or Mississippi State, which are at least losable. I think there's a real chance that Vandy ends up missing a bowl this year, much less getting to like 8-4 or something with Clark Lee. All right, alongside Alex and Bradford on BK, it's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. Questions and answers coming up next.
You can now watch 101 ESPN live on our Air Alliance Team Studio Cams. Catch every show live on our YouTube channel or at 101ESPN.com. 101 ESPN Studio Cams.
Presented by the Air Alliance Team Heating and Cooling. Getting the job done quickly, correctly, 100% of the time.
We're right back to more of it. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. You've got questions, we may have the answers. Maybe. It's BK and Ferrario's questions and answers on 101 ESPN.
Alongside Alex and Bradford on BK, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. From the 636, guys, Sal Stewart has plus odds to win Rookie of the Year. Is it socially acceptable to bet on that?
Yeah. Well,
might as well profit off of it.
A couple in our graveyard chat are very upset with us that we would be in St. Louis radio and picked Sal Stewart over JJ.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but then they're also calling us homers. I don't understand how that argument holds up.
You can love me, you can hate me. That's all good. I'm going to give you my honest opinion.
You're going to be talking about me.
That's all I've got. I will tell you my honest-to-God opinion on these things. I have been criticized in the past of being on the Cardinals payroll. I would love to be. I'm not.
I was going to say, I'd love to.
But if I thought J.J. Weatherholt was Rookie of the Year, I would tell you. I don't. Yeah. I don't feel like he is or should be Rookie of the Year. Now, it would be good for us on a professional level, and it would be good for the Cardinals if he were to win the award. The best thing that could happen the rest of the year is for J.J. Weatherholt to go on an offensive tear over the next 6 weeks to where the offensive numbers look at least comparable between he and Sal Stewart, and then it should be J.J. Wetherholt. Because once you get to the place where, hey, offensively, there's not too much of a gap between these two players, the tiebreaker would then very much go to J.J. because he is a better base runner and a better defender. What I have a tough time with right now is the argument is offense versus defense and base running.
Yeah.
And on that note, dude, you're going to take offense every day of the week. I would do the same thing for the Cardinals. Why do you think they're putting Ivan Herrera behind the plate this year? Because of his offense, right? And they're doing that because of how valuable offense is in the lineup. I talked with somebody out at at Busch a few weeks ago within the Cardinals. And they said, "Hey man, if you can hit, we'll find a place for you to play." That's basically the story of this year's Rookie of the Year race.
Yeah, 100% with you. And I don't know why we were surprised at somebody winning an award based off of one of the sexier stats. It's how all of these awards go off of goals, home runs, touchdowns. It's how these guys are picked. That's who typically wins when the voters are putting it together. I don't think how much crap we give baseball writers that vote on like the Hall of Fame and things like that. I don't think they're looking at defense and saying, well, that's what's going to put this guy over the top.
What they would say, what people would tell you is, hey, they're looking at wins above replacement, which is true. They are. But I just don't think it's the only thing they're looking at. And right now, it's really the only thing you can point to that would be in J.J. Wetherholt's favor. Yep. From the 636, guys, if the Cardinals were going to target a true number one starting pitcher for the rotation going into next year, who would you like to see them go after? I think this is a trade conversation more so than anything else. Yeah. The guy that I would be targeting is probably Logan Gilbert.
Yeah, that'd be mine.
With the Seattle Mariners. I think he's a legit number one starter. You could trade for him. Yeah, it's going to cost you a decent amount, but he doesn't have a ton of term remaining. So I think you could get it for a more reasonable cost than you would probably assume. And he's the kind of guy that I would love to see the Cardinals acquire. He's stable. He's a consistent 3 to 3.5 ERA guy. He's going to give you 170 plus innings every single season, and I would extend him. So that would be the guy that I would try to target.
Logan Gilbert's been my guy for like the last 3 years, so he would be it. But honestly, I'm targeting the Mariners and I'm targeting the Rays. I'm looking at one of their organizations and finding a pitcher in their organization that I can dream on that guy's got it. And Logan Gilbert's the one that's already there. You're right, it's going to cost you, but it's worth paying for a guy that I know is going to be the lockdown number one for me for the next 5+ years.
From the 314, guys, can you talk about how Drink never wins the big game? Isn't that a bit of an issue for him at some point? This is the same conversation we had about Gary Pinkel until he did. And then he won the big game, and we were like, oh, but you didn't win the bigger game. Because then the conversation was he never won the SEC championship or the Big 12 championship game. So there's always going to be that question. I mean, hell, look at Oregon. The question right now about Oregon is, can they actually win the big game under this coach, Dan Lanning? I mean, yeah, they've won a bunch of big games. They just haven't won it all under him. The same thing I think is true with Sark and Texas. Can they win the big game? Well, they win a lot of big games. They just haven't won a title. So there's a lot of coaches that face that criticism. It's just the reality until you ultimately win it all. And so there's always going to be that question that looms over Eli Drinkwitz. But at a place like Missouri, if you can just win them every once in a while, that's good enough.
Yeah.
And honestly, the overall records are eerily similar between Pinkel and Drinkwitz, regardless of the tenure there, as are the figures when it comes to versus top 25. The one thing right now, if you really put that extra bow or feather in the cap of Drinkwitz, it would be the outright dominance there at Memorial Stadium. He has been incredible there, yes, with the exception of when top 10 teams come to town. We get it.
314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. From the 314, has it been discussed yet that Blaze Jordan looks a lot like T-Bone?
Yes, 100%. Every time I see him now, it's all I think of. I mean, just looks just like him. He also runs like him, too.
Yeah, I could see
that.
I've
seen T-Bone run the beer mile, and I think they run the same.
I could see
There's
that.
no top speed.
They both kind of look like Lego men a little bit, too.
Yeah.
Does he resemble Tanner more than I resemble? Who's your coach?
From Pittsburgh.
I never really got it.
The Pittsburgh Penguins coach. I think I told you that.
Alex is convinced on
that.
Yeah.
I mean,
convinced.
It's.
I don't think you ever told me about this. But there's
look at him.
Definitely some similarities.
Look at this. That if Bradford shaved his head, that's Bradford Bruns.
I actually think Bradford could look pretty good bald. Now that I see this, I think that might be a look.
I'd love for you to try and put a suit on.
Have you ever thought about going with a Bic?
I have not.
You should try
But if you're telling me, if you're trying to persuade me, and maybe I'm targeting a new look for that 100th anniversary jersey game, you go with the dome.
Please do that and wear a suit, because I promise when you do,
we can paint on his head for the game.
His head could be like the rocks, the stones at Mizzou.
I was thinking the helmet, but sure, we can brainstorm.
That works too. That works too.
Anything for the views.
Look, I don't care about any of that. All I care about is I want to put the man in a suit with a bald head so I can prove my point that he looks like Dan Muse.
Yeah. He looks just like him.
More than T-Bone looking like Blaze Jordan.
Wow. I could see it.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. Who looks more like that person? Bradford with the Penguins coach, T-Bone with Blaze Jordan, or me with Thomas Ajacey?
Bradford.
You think Bradford is the closest?
You'd have to grow your hair out for me to look like JC, but the only thing that really resembles is the nose.
Damn, man.
Wow, do we need to take it to the polls? Maybe?
Well, we don't need the polls. I am the poll. I know this. You look like Dan Muse.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line from the 636. Guys, have you seen the Mizzou 100th anniversary uniforms? They're sick. Should be the new full-time unis. You better believe we've seen them.
I haven't heard anything about these new Mizzou uniforms.
Talked about it a little bit ago. If you want our full thoughts,
are they good?
Check the podcast page. 101ESPN.com, free 101 ESPN app. It's all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
By the way, Bradford, are you going to the opener this year?
It is most certainly, I would hope so, that it's in the cards. As a matter of fact, BK may even be heading there this weekend for the end of camp availability, in which case I can certainly peruse what's available in the team store. In person.
College Football Connection is always on site.
That's right. You can check that out. YouTube.com/101ESPNSTL. That's where you get the College Football Connection. You can get the Last Minute Blues podcast or the Redbird Report if you're interested in sponsoring any of those podcasts. Yeah, including the College Football Connection. Reach out to any of us. We'd be happy to talk to you about some of the different options.
We got another one here. And I think we've talked about this before, but HCH Outdoors says Jackson looks like Jake Gensel.
Yeah, for sure.
Jackson, Jake Gensel. T-Bone Blaze Jordan, Bradford Dan Muse.
Yep.
Who looks most similar?
Jackson.
See, I think it's still
Jackson with Jake Gensel is like a 1-for-1 lookalike.
I'm not great at
It's crazy.
I'm not great at Photoshop, but I need to find a way to Photoshop Bradford bald and prove my
point. I'm sure
point.
ChatGPT could do that for
Bradford, I need you to send me a really good picture, front profile of you, please.
Boy, I'm a method actor. I still don't know if I can go down that road.
I'm telling you. I think if we put the three of those together, Jackson does look. T-Bone probably would be third. Jackson too, but mine is still Bradford number one.
Alongside Alex Ferrario and Bradford Bruns, I'm Brandon Kiley. Good seats available for you on the secondary market for Mizzou versus Arkansas Pine Bluff, by the way, for a pretty decent price. You can get in for like $25 if you're interested in going to that game. The rest of the year, price is less appealing if you're a Mizzou fan. But for this one, pretty good tickets.
Bring the whole family. There's still a 4 for $80 option, if I'm not mistaken.
They do end up becoming a little bit more expensive because of some of the fees that are associated with it. But yeah, you've got some good options for you if you're a Mizzou fan wanting to go to that game.
The whole bring the family to the Cardinals game, and my kids aren't ready for games yet. I still got a little bit longer.
Luca is so invested in sports.
Oh, yeah.
That he is just locked in from the moment that either the ball is kicked, the pitch is thrown, whatever it is. Like we are very much in our sports.
Yeah. My girls are invested in everything other than it. Food, bathroom, desserts, and the seats that go boo.
Yesterday we got to school. It was his first day of preschool. We were talking with the teacher afterwards, find out how everything went. She's like, "Oh, he's great. He was great." She said, "Does he take a while to go to the bathroom sometimes?" We were like, "Oh yeah, like 15, 20 minutes. Like he'll be sitting there waiting." And she's like, "It was a little longer than that." But
yeah. Ours do that too. They'll sit there and they'll be like, "I got more poop," and I'm like, "We've been sitting here for 35 minutes,
dude.
If you sit here any longer, this toilet is going to suck you in."
I was like, "Hey man, you good?" Like,
I think you need to stop before you hurt something.
Got to fix that before passing time in high school.
Yeah, man, you ain't lying. All right, alongside Alex and Bradford, I'm BK. Coming up next, could Joshua Baez be for the Cardinals what Sal Stewart has become for the Reds? We'll talk about it next here on 101 ESPN. Hey, it's BK, and it is time for you to unlock your inner champion. There's one place to do so. That is with Victory Men's Health. If you feel like you just don't have the same energy that you once did, you're not getting the same out of your workouts as you used to, well, those could be signs of low testosterone, and they can check those levels for you over at Victory Men's Health. It's an incredibly easy process to get your process started. Go to victorymenshealth.com. Get started. Put your name, email, phone number over there in the page, and then you can tell them BK with 101 ESPN sent you. They'll get started with your personalized plan to unlock your inner champion. If it's not low testosterone symptoms, maybe it's weight loss goals that you're trying to meet, sexual health, red light therapy programs that you'd like to learn more about. They also have micronutrient testing. I got started with that. It was a super easy process. It was great to find out where exactly I'm deficient, and they were able to put together a personalized plan for me with their supplement shop. So take advantage of all of that. Book your first appointment today. Go to victorymenshealth.com. That's victorymenshealth.com.
WXOS HD1 East St. Louis 101 ESPN is driven by Brown and Crouppen Law Firm. This is exactly where you want to be listening to us. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
We're doing a lot of Sal Stewart talk today. I apologize for that.
What are you, St. Louis radio or Cincinnati radio?
The Cardinals are playing against the Cincinnati Reds this week, and so we are using that as a jumping-off point for some of our conversations. Cardinals right now in action against the Reds, leading 1-0 in the middle of the second inning. Alex, Sal Stewart has been great this year for the Cincinnati Reds. Some would argue the NL Rookie of the Year.
Not us, but some would.
What he should be deserving of. 27 homers, 94 RBIs, also has added 12 stolen bases. Joshua Baez is not a one-to-one replica in terms of his playing style to Sal Stewart, but there are definitely some similarities. You go back to last year, Sal Stewart as a 21-year-old hit 300, so that's a little bit different. The hit tool is better for Sal Stewart, but finished with 20 homers and 34 doubles in 118 minor league games. This year, we just mentioned what he's been able to do, translating that to the major league level. This year at the minor league level, Joshua Baez in 100 games had 22 doubles and 34 homers, had a 900 OPS. Sal Stewart last year had a 905 OPS. Do you think Josh Baez next year could be for the Cardinals what Sal Stewart has been this year for the Reds?
There's a chance. The strikeouts are what concerns me with Joshua Baez. Like I'll be fascinated to see what it looks like the rest of the way because, yesterday he comes into a pinch hitting role and he gets a hit, which is a good sign for him because of how much he was struggling since that first day at Wrigley. He has the power to be a 30 home run, 100 RBI type of guy. Because if you put him in the middle of your lineup and hit him fifth, with how many guys are in front of him that can get on base, that's a guy that could pick up 100 RBI in a season. I'm most concerned about how he adapts to pitches, because unless you give him the one that he's expecting, he is a guy that misses an awful lot. Like, if I were to put both guys on the spectrum and say Nolan Gorman and Sal Stewart, which one would Josh Baez most likely become?
The good Nolan Gorman. Can I pick that?
That's not the option. I gave you Nolan Gorman. Yeah. You get the good and the bad. You can't have Jekyll without Hyde.
I think he more closely resembles what Nolan Gorman was.
And that would be my pushback with Sal Stewart, is I just don't know if he's going to be a guy that can consistently avoid being the swing and miss guy. But he's got the ability to steal the bases without question. The speed, I think the arm plays in the outfield, so he might be a better defender than what Sal Stewart is, because he's playing a premier position. On top of it, he has the potential to get there. I just don't know if he can get there.
Yeah. So you remember the conversations we were having about J.J. Weatherholt before the season, where people got really, really mad at me because...
Until you said Sal Stewart was Rookie of the Year then?
I know. I said I wasn't sure if J.J. Weatherholt can be a star with his profile, because there just aren't a whole lot of guys that are. You know, the hit tool was number one for him, batter's eye, and then he should be like a really great all-around player. Honestly, his profile kind of mirrored what we had heard about Dylan Carlson as an outfielder, where maybe not great at any one thing, but very good at basically everything. And so he's going to be maybe a future all-star, but the ceiling there is just, it's kind of capped in terms of what he can be.
Right.
And so the guy that we kind of pointed at was, what if he's Bo Bichette? Could that be he could be a Robin for a really great team, and is that good enough to be a true star in Major League Baseball? Well, for the first probably 6 weeks of the year, it was like, oh, wait, no, he's got power that we didn't expect. I think he does have some of that. I think he can be a 20 home run hitter and whatnot, but I think maybe our early belief on what he was going to be has become more true than it looked early on. He's batting .245 this year. He has a slugging percentage below 400. He's now on pace for about 20 home runs and like 60-ish RBIs. That's a really good player. It's not a superstar. There's nothing wrong with that. He's a rookie. I think he's going to get better than this. I would bet on him long term. The reason that I bring that up is because you don't get a whole lot of attention typically for those numbers that we've seen from J.J. Weatherholt this year. It's the defense that's really propping him up because of the wins above replacement numbers. Baez is the kind of guy who can get the attention for the kind of numbers that he can post. Like Joshua Baez next year could hit 25-plus home runs as a rookie.
Yep.
Here's the list of players that have hit 25-plus home runs as a rookie.
There's your BK segment of the day. Here's the list.
In the last decade. You ready, Alex?
Here's the list.
These are rookies under the age of 24, which is what Joshua Baez will be next year. Sal Stewart this year. Nick Kurtz, Tanner Hendrickson, Francisco Alvarez, Corbin Carroll, Julio Rodriguez, Ryan Mountcastle. He was sixth in the Rookie of the Year. Most of these other guys won it. Pete Alonso, Eloy Jimenez, Yordan Alvarez, Miguel Andujar, Ronald Acuna Jr., Cody Bellinger, Josh Bell, Paul DeJong. All right, cool. Trevor Story, Corey Seager. End of list in the last decade. Like, that's a list that I think you probably will see Joshua Baez's name on by the end of next year, and that's the kind of thing that ultimately gets you even more consideration for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, and that's why I believe they did what they did with Joshua Baez in terms of making sure that that status was available for them next season, and the same can be said. It's why I think Rainiel Rodriguez is going to be in the same spot. You're not going to see him until the same time frame that you saw Baez, because those guys have the potential to win Rookie of the Year. They've got the potential. I would probably side more with Rainiel Rodriguez as a better shot at it because there's more consistency and less strikeout stuff than where Joshua Baez is at. But regardless, those are the two outs of adding more power to your lineup. And look, if everything goes right, and I still think there's more with J.J. Weatherholt. I think the dip that you're seeing now is because you're trying to figure out, and Ryan Ludwig told us this yesterday, this is a long season to play. This in hockey, you have to not only adapt to the pitchers, but you got to adapt to the schedule. And J.J. Weatherholt has played a lot of baseball in his first full season as a major leaguer. That's something that is going to impact your ups and downs, and I'll be curious to see what it looks like once you get a little bit more established. whatever Joshua Baez does the rest of this season, it's not going to be what I feel like Baez is going to be. We've already seen the power he has, even when he's not making hits. He's hitting the ball so freaking hard. There's going to be work in terms of establishing that strike zone and recognizing certain pitches and how to read pitchers. I do think there's a possibility. I'd put it a slim possibility. He could be like what Sal Stewart is in terms of you're hitting north of 250, you're hitting 30 home runs, and you're a guy that's batting fifth for you. And with Walker, Herrera, Burleson, and Weatherholt, that's a 100 RBI player.
Yeah, I think in an ideal world, you see him post numbers next year that resemble what you've seen this year from Sal Stewart.
Yes.
25-plus homers. I'm not as worried about the RBIs. I think that's more of an opportunity stat than anything else, but I agree with you, Alex. Like, if you've got the top 4 in the lineup that are in front of him, and he's potentially batting fifth, you should get a lot of those opportunities, so the number could climb, maybe even more than what you would typically expect. And the stolen base numbers, like Sal Stewart has 12 steals this year. I think you could see 15-plus out of
he's got
Joshua Baez next year. I mean, he got 2 yesterday.
Yeah, he's got monster speed.
Yeah, he's a guy. It's really about willingness. I think we've seen this now.
Yeah.
It's a matter of, are you willing to take that base? And we don't talk about it a whole lot. 2 years ago, he stole 55 bags in the minor leagues. Now, this year was a little lower. He only had 21 because he was rounding the bases because of home runs so often. But if he's getting on base and you have more of those singles because pitching's just better at this level than it was at AAA, yeah, I think you could see 15 to 20 stolen bases next year for him as a realistic outcome at the major league level as well. Guy that has not hit to his potential just yet is Jimmy Crooks, Alex. On the season, batting 175, slugging percentage below 350. He was awesome at AAA this year. We all were excited when he got the call up, and we had been calling for him to get the opportunity here because we were sick of seeing Pedro Pages.
And Pozo, which you didn't see much of. But
unfortunately, Jimmy Crooks has been worse offensively this year at the major league level than Pedro Pages was. He's had back-to-back starts now. I'm just not seeing a whole lot. And defensively, it's not great. How long is the leash here before they consider calling up Leo Bernal to get these opportunities, Alex?
I mean, to me, the leash is already at the shortest length it can get. Like, after watching it yesterday, you go 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. And prior to yesterday, we had been talking about how they're not even using him. They're only using him occasionally. You're seeing more Pedro Pages starts than you're seeing Jimmy Crooks starts because they went up against a lot of lefties. Regardless, I think we know kind of where Jimmy Crooks is at. I'm not, by no means am I saying write him off. He's not going to be a good pro. I think there's more that has to go into this. But I'd be giving Leo Bernal these starts for the rest of the way. It seems after that big moment with the bases loaded and he struck out, that the Cardinals were like, there's still some more work to be done with Jimmy Crooks, which is absolutely fine. This is what happens. I think the leash, though, now is if you're not going to play him and you're only going to use him against righties when you see them and you're playing Pedro Pages more, then just switch Jimmy Crooks to the Pedro Pages role and put Leo Bernal in the other spot. Like, if you're so excited about the depth chart of this catcher position and how they've been crushing it in the minors with Rodriguez, who I don't think is happening until next year. Man, Leo Bernal is doing everything you're asking him to do in Memphis, just like Jimmy Crooks was doing. I don't know why we're seeing Pedro Pages if Jimmy Crooks isn't going to get those opportunities.
The thing for me, Jimmy Crooks doesn't look ready.
Yeah.
He
looks uncomfortable.
He doesn't look ready for this level. And this is why I asked the question the other day when we had the Cardinals assistant general manager Rob Cerfolio on with us. I said, how do you know when a guy is going to be able to translate what they're doing at the minor league level to the big league level? And the truth is you don't. There's no scientific answer for that, but you just hope that you're on the right path. Jimmy Crooks does not look as though his swing is translating to this level. And I don't know if that's a pitch recognition, a plate discipline issue, a specific, like if it's a swing mechanics issue. I am not in tune enough with the baseball mechanics to understand what specifically has gone wrong for him or what is not translating to this level, but it's not translating. And it's not just the actual numbers and what, like he's not having a bunch of bad batted ball luck, like we've seen with Joshua Baez, where Baez is still hitting the snot out of the ball. Yeah. He's just not getting results.
Yeah. Jimmy Crooks isn't even making contact.
Yeah, it's everything. The contact ain't great, and he's swinging and missing far too often, and he doesn't take any walks, and he doesn't have great defensive value. So, like, you add it all up, there's just not a whole lot here to point to say this is why we've got to keep him in the lineup. So if they decided tomorrow, for example, to make the move and to say, hey, Jimmy Crooks, we're going to go ahead and send you back down. We want you to work on these 4 things while you're down there. And we're going to call up Leo Bernal to get the opportunities that previously were going to Crooks. I'd be fine with it. I'll defer to them. They know more about Bernal than I do, but especially if we get to September 1st and this is still what it looks like, and you can add Bernal to the roster as the extra man, I would go ahead and make that move then. So I think you've got about 10 days left of this leash, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just like it's a larger sample size because they called up Jimmy Crooks after 39 games. But in 39 games with Memphis, 262 batting average. His slug was great. It was 567 with 13 home runs, and he had 52 strikeouts in 39 games. Leo Bernal has 83 strikeouts through 94 games, but his slug is 474. He's got a better batting average. He strikes out less. He walks more, and he's got 15 home runs. And I think he's a better defensive catcher than where Jimmy Crooks is at. So I just...
he's also 3 years younger.
If you're not going to see Jimmy Crooks as much, then I don't know why we're playing more of Pedro Pages. I would be playing more of a guy like Leo Bernal to see how he fares in this situation.
Bernal is a closer prospect to Joshua Baez, whereas Jimmy Crooks is closer, and I'm talking about in prospect pedigree. Jimmy Crooks is, I'm trying to think of a good, probably more similar to like a Blaze Jordan.
Yeah.
In terms of prospect pedigree.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That would probably be the closest guy that I can compare him to. Like borderline top 100, or at least once upon a time top 100 type of a prospect. And now you're wondering, like, how's this going to translate to the major league level? And I think that's kind of where I see Jimmy Crooks right now.
You're just in a position now, especially with this series, depending on how it turns. Like, you're just in a position to where, yes, you're trying to still compete for this playoff spot, but you're the in-between. And we've talked about that, how they've gotten caught there a couple of times with some of their pitching decisions. But, like, if you're going to play the in-between game, then put a guy who may have a shot at being on this roster next year into a position to get some starts. And maybe it's just the September call-ups. That's where you're going to see Leo Bernal. But if it goes beyond that, I'm going to have more of an issue with it. But it's just, you're not seeing Jimmy Crooks. So if you're not seeing him, why not give another guy a shot who's a switch hitter who can hit and play the position for you?
In 15 minutes, is this where the Blues should be ranked when it comes to their front office confidence level? We'll talk about that in 15 minutes. NFL Quick Hitters next here on 101 ESPN.
We want to hear from you. Use the Scott Lee Mic Drop feature on the 101 mobile app. Give us your opinion on anything St. Louis sports with a mic drop.
Brought to you by the Scott Lee Heating Company.
They are St. Louis. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
Alongside Alex and Bradford, I'm BK. Let's dive into some NFL quick hitters. Alex, I saw a list yesterday.
Yeah, and here's the list.
Not that kind of list.
Okay, sorry.
This is from The Athletic. They were going through. They've got a guy that does some modeling for them.
Oh, you should get into modeling, man.
What kind of modeling?
Glasses modeling, maybe.
Okay. Petite glasses?
Yeah, it frames them really well for you.
Yeah.
Nose ring modeling.
My wife recently got a nose ring.
Did she?
Yeah,
you should get one. You'd be like a little Christmas tree where you hang those ornaments. See how many you can hang on there? Be like, okay, sorry.
When I shave the head, you don the suit jacket.
Too? No, you can't. Dan Muse doesn't have a piercing.
Yeah, that's a bridge too far.
Dan Muse doesn't have piercings, man. He's a clean cut.
She went with the tack instead of the bull ring, but I kind of like the bull ring look.
No, come on. I think so. No. My
sister,
sister,
is it, the septum?
Oh, God, that creeps me out. Like, can you imagine somebody just piercing that? God. People that do the belly buttons creep me out, too.
When you mess with the bull ring, you get the horns.
Get the nipples pierced?
There you go, one I'm on board with. That one I'm on board with.
That's what does it
Sounds
for
like a punishment for this upcoming year.
The reason that I bring up the modeling over on The Athletic, Austin Mock, it's his NFL projection model.
Draft?
He has 9 different teams, Alex, in the AFC that are between 9 and 11 wins. 9 teams in the AFC between 9 and 11. Nobody above, and then the 9th is the Jaguars at 9 wins exactly. All of those teams, according to his model, somewhere between a 50 and 75% chance of making it to the playoffs.
Wow.
It is wide open. I can't remember it being this wide open in any of these kinds of projections, and that matches what we've been talking about, where it's like, man, there's a lot of teams that feel like they're really going for it this season. Here are those 9 teams. Ravens, Bills, Patriots, Bengals, Texans, Chiefs, and then the AFC West here, Chargers and Broncos, and then finally the Jaguars. Alex, as you hear that list and look at that list, I am curious, which of those teams are you most likely will make it to the playoffs this year?
So I would have Bills and Patriots, write it down in pen. I'd have the Bengals. I don't know if I'd put Bengals in pen. Let me see. Texans I'd have in pen.
Definitely making it. No questions. Like definitely going to get in this year.
Yeah, and I'll have the Chiefs in pen. Those would be the, what is that, 4? Did I say? I think that's...
You had Bills, Patriots, Texans, Chiefs, correct?
Yes, those would be the 4 that I'd put in pen. Next, I would have the Bengals as a pretty close certainty. Ravens, I'd have a close certainty. And then it comes down to Chargers and Broncos. And I think I'd probably lean, and this is going to be horrible for me to say because I hate this team, I think I'd lean more the Broncos than the Chargers. And it's just because of the defense and the ability to stay healthy. And frankly, Justin Herbert's starting to fall down on that list for me.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, when you talk about the Chargers, especially in light of the events, the developments of the past few days on that offensive line, par for the course, right? I don't think that's off base whatsoever. Denver, to me, a little more sketchy because of the division, obviously, in which it toils there. But if I'm talking about no-brainers, frankly, guys, I'm looking at Buffalo. I'm looking at New England, of course. Yeah, 2 from that same division. I think Baltimore is a surefire bet in my mind to get back there. And you know what? I will be bold, or perhaps not so bold. Your division winner once again for 2026 coming out of the AFC West is none other than those Chiefs. I don't know if I put anybody else in ink.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
Yep.
The division leaders, I mean, I think to me that's easy. I think Bills win it. I think I'd put the Bengals winning the North. I think if Burrow stays healthy, that's a better roster than what the Ravens have. I'd put the Texans in the South, and I'd put the Chiefs in the West.
Which of these teams are you most confident will miss it? I'm assuming, based upon what you said, the Jaguars?
Jaguars and Chargers. Those would probably be the 2 that I'm comfortable in saying I think they miss. Steelers as well. I don't know if they had the Steelers being close to a playoff.
They've got them as 8.5 wins.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. But yeah, I would probably put the Jaguars as I don't think they're good. Because to me, you've got to win that division if you want to get in. The rest of the teams fighting for wild card, barring injury, are just too superior to what I think the Jaguars are. And you're not beating the Texans, in my opinion, for the South.
Man, this is as hard as I can recall when it comes to... Because, I think the Jags have a really good shot at winning 11 games this year. You look at their division, I think you've got a few games that you should rack up as wins in it. I think they're a really good defense. I think they're well coached on that side of the ball. And on the offensive side, man, they've got a ton of talent. And I think they have one of the better offensive play callers in the NFL, Liam Cohen as well. Trevor Lawrence has his moments, don't get me wrong, where he just throws the worst possible interceptions at the worst possible time. But he was really good last year. He was a legit top 10 quarterback in the league last year. So I have a tough time saying they're going to miss as well. but I don't know who else I'm going to point to. If not them, then who?
I know I joke about it. There's a chance that I think the Broncos have a little bit of a honeymoon phase to where it comes back down to earth after what they did last year. And the same can be said for the Chargers. I think there's a real shot because none of those teams are winning that division, in my opinion. That's going to be the Chiefs. So you're fighting in the wild card. And if the Ravens or Bengals are in one of those wild card spots, if the Patriots or Bills are in one of those wild card spots, and if you think the Jaguars are going to be in that position and they're an 11-win team, I think the Texans are winning that division because of their defense. That's 3 teams that are fighting for those wild card spots. Where do the Broncos and Chargers fall in?
Somebody's getting fired this year.
Yeah.
That's what this is going to lead to. Because, if you're a Bengals fan and they miss the playoffs this year, you got to go.
Oh, yeah.
If you're a Texans fan and they miss the playoffs this year, I don't think it's the coach that gets
the quarterback.
The quarterback is going to be blamed. There is a lot of pressure on all of these teams that are in the top 9 heading into the season. And 2 of them, literally, by mathematics, cannot make it to the playoffs. 2 of the teams that we just mentioned will miss the postseason this year. And all of them, it feels hard to fathom that they would miss the playoffs this year.
Here's my bold
Ravens,
prediction.
by the way, a team, they're number 1 on this in win projection.
I'm skeptical.
I don't know. I don't know if Henry did not look good at the end of last year. Jackson, I know he's going to, as BK likes to talk about, his tummy's going to hurt him at some point for a couple of games. And the defense is not anything that I got excited about last year. And I know they dealt with injuries, but I'm kind of with you there. Here's my bold prediction for the Texans. If they miss and C.J. Stroud's gone, they go get Baker Mayfield.
Okay.
They go get Baker and say, this is the guy that will help us win with this defense right now.
Speaking of being projected to go high in the wins category, I have a real problem, frankly, with Cincinnati coming in at number 4. Because if you're once again trying to sell that narrative, sell that angle that Cincinnati once again can, A, outscore all of its problems, well, that is dependent on having health, particularly on offense. Can you buy a full season, hopefully, of Joe Burrow? How about the supporting cast members? And I know that Chase Brown last year was a heck of a lot better down the stretch in half number 2, but there is no semblance of balance on that offense. And you can argue, okay, with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, you don't have to have as much, but you still need an O-line. You still need some continuity. You need effectiveness on defense, both of which I have not seen. That's hard for me to buy. It really is.
I think part of it is because of their schedule. They draw the NFC South and the AFC South this year. And if you were going to write up which divisions you would most want to play from each of the respective conferences, those would be the 2. So you get 8 total games on your schedule against NFC and AFC South teams. That helps. That's going to rack up some wins for you. And then you add in the fact that you've got Pittsburgh in your own division. You've got Cleveland in your own division. That's going to lead to a lot of wins. So I think that's part of what's leading to their projected win total. I would say the same thing's probably true of the Ravens, where they're at number 1 on the list because they have such an easy schedule heading into the season. I think Cincy's making the playoffs this year. They scare me again. As a Chiefs fan, they are one of the teams that I am once again going to be fearful of because I think they've done a really good job of improving their offensive line. They still have T and Jamar. And that defense, I think, has improved quite a bit. They added Dexter Lawrence in the offseason. Boye Mafe is not great, but he's decent. And I think he's going to add some edge rush that they had been missing. And the Chiefs safety, Brian Cook. Again, not great, but just adds a professional football player at the back end of their defense, which is something they've been lacking for many years at this point.
And here's the thing.
They could be the 20th best defense in the league. They could win 11 games.
To me, I think it's clear-cut they win that division because the Ravens roster, I just don't like the way it's constructed. Your offensive line's getting older. Derrick Henry did not look good last year. Lamar Jackson is always kind of iffy. And then, other than Mark Andrews and who's the other tight end that they
lost him.
Yeah, they lost him. Yeah, so who are they throwing the ball to?
Likely's out. You paid Zay Flowers to be that dude.
And
does he have another level?
He's been fine, but it's not like he's JSN out there. So, I'm not sold. I think the Ravens are going to be better than those secondary teams that we went through already, like the Jaguars or the Colts or the Broncos or the Chargers, because you've got Lamar Jackson. I'm not sold that they're going to be in the same stratosphere as Bengals, Texans, Chiefs, or the Bills and Patriots.
It could go pretty sideways for the Ravens this year. There's a chance of that.
It could.
I mean, if Zay goes down at any point this season, their top receivers otherwise are Devontae Walker, Rashad Bateman, and I guess Jacoby Lane.
Ooh.
I think that's their number 3 right now. Elijah Surratt, they drafted in the 4th round, so maybe it's him. And then they've got the corpse of Mark Andrews, Durham Smythe, and Derrick Henry's going to have to run a whole lot as a 30-plus-year-old running back.
What if he suddenly looks mortal?
Yeah.
Sooner or later.
They don't have Trey Hendrickson, though. So,
well, that's good.
You got that.
Could have had Max Crosby, too, right?
I think the defense has a chance to be pretty good. Matabuki should be back this season. Hopefully he's healthy, ready to go. Trey Hendrickson's great. Roquan Smith's awesome if he's in shape. And then the secondary's really, really good.
Which team, by the way, is your favorite in the AFC South? Houston, Jacksonville? Which is your favorite right now?
It's Houston.
Without question.
Yeah. That defense is awesome.
I'm closer on that.
Me
I
too.
think their defense is so good, though, that I'll lean towards Houston. Houston's defense, I said this last year, might be the best thing that any team does in the league. Like, they do defense better than anybody else does any one thing.
Better than Seattle. Yeah, Seattle had a hell of a defense that got them to Super Bowl. But, yeah, I'm so bullish on that Houston Texans defense. Everything is elite. Pass rush, defensive, secondary. Like, it's a really good setup. You just need your quarterback to be decent.
Alongside Alex and Bradford, I'm BK. Update from the Cardinals game. Jordan Walker hits a 3-run homer in the third inning. Cardinals leading now 4-0. J.J. Weatherholt and Ivan Herrera score on that one. Jordan Walker up to 26 home runs on the season, Alex, so far this year. Very likely to reach that 30 home run plateau at this point and to finish with more than 100 RBIs.
And if he was a rookie, he'd be the rookie of the year.
No doubt.
There you go. See?
Unfortunately, he is a 24-year-old, fourth-year player?
Unfortunately, we went through 4 years of trying to get to this point for Jordan Walker.
That's all right, though. Hey, you got here, and that's ultimately all that
Also,
matters.
I think McGreevy's thrown like 32 pitches through 3. So, like, pitch efficiency has been very good for a guy that would like to get 7 innings out of.
And every bit as important, Alex, because I'm with you. That is huge. The offense has given him a little bit of support, which allows for Ollie Marmol now to make some decisions of, all right, we're in a good spot. We can stick with McGreevy, and we can kind of play it batter by batter. If he gets into the 6th or 7th inning and he doesn't have trouble, all right, we keep pushing him. And then at the first sign of trouble where you get 2 on and now you've got that third guy coming up, now we can start to make some decisions with the bullpen. Yep. But until then, you can potentially push McGreevy a little longer than you otherwise would if it was a 2-1 game or something.
Right.
And that allows you to put your bullpen into hopefully a much better spot going into the weekend. This is the kind of game that could have a trickle-down effect of not only winning it for you today, but also putting you into a really good spot for this weekend with basically 2 straight days of off days for your bullpen.
And if you win this one, and if you win 2 or 3 against Phillies because your bullpen is in a great spot,
you're right back to where you were.
And you don't care about yesterday. You're
still frustrated by it.
You're frustrated by it, but you win the series against Cincinnati, you win the series against Philadelphia versus you potentially not winning the series against Philadelphia and maybe not winning the
100%.
series against Cincinnati.
Right now, all you've got to do the rest of the way is just keep racking up the series victories.
Yes.
You beat New York, you beat Colorado, you found a way to win 2 out of 3 against Philly and Chicago. Now you've got a chance here to win 3 out of 5 against Cincinnati while having a doubleheader in that mix. And then you go to the weekend, you win 2 out of 3 against Philadelphia. You're feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
And you got an off day on Monday, by the way.
That's the goal.
Which adds into this as well. All right, alongside Alex and Bradford on BK, we'll keep you updated with anything that happens in that Cardinals game as it takes place. But coming up next, is this where you think the Blues should be ranked when it comes to your confidence in their front office? We'll talk about that next here on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN is powered by Kaufman Townsley, St. Louis's injury lawyers. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
a part of the show. Text the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation text line at 314-399-9646 on 101 ESPN. 101 ESPN Sports Center.
McGreevy in fine form early. I'm Bradford Bruns. Your Sports Center update is delivered by Saliga Heating and Cooling. St. Louis and Cincinnati wrap up their season series today, with STL currently holding a 4-0 edge at Great American Ballpark. 3 scoreless frames from Michael McGreevy. New arch enemy Sal Stewart has been quiet so far, going 0 for 1 since he's rookie sensation homered last night. His team leading 27th. Jordan Walker, meanwhile, went yard moments ago. This evening, football reigning supreme on 101 ESPN. Number 1 overall pick Fernando Mendoza will get significant reps as Las Vegas visits Houston. Your Sports Center update was presented by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Giving you the picture, the real big St. Louis sports picture. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
Fair questions to be had about what Alexander Steen will be as the next general manager of the St. Louis Blues. And because of that, I understand some skepticism when you look at your front office confidence rankings from fans or from outside perspectives that are not here in St. Louis. Alongside Alex and Bradford, I'm BK. So The Athletic put together their rankings today. This is based upon a public vote. This is not The Athletic's rankings so much as it is fans' rankings of your confidence in your front office. The Blues last year in this poll came in at number 10 overall. That was with Doug Armstrong at the helm and still a year left prior to the transition to Alex Steen.
And for some context, that was coming off of the offer sheet, so that would make sense why you got that bump.
This year, they came in at number 14 overall, Alex. From the fan base, let's start there, and then we'll get some of the discrepancies with the public, non-Blues fans. The fan base has them with a B- for roster building, B- for cap management, a B+ for their ability to draft and develop, a solid B for trading, C+ for free agency, B- for overall vision, and a B overall 14th in the NHL for what they have done and what they are going to do leading the charge as the general manager / front office of the Blues. Do you think this is about the right spot for the St. Louis Blues and how you feel confidence-wise in their front office?
I think it's probably in the general vicinity. I'd probably bump it up a couple of spots just compared to the teams that are in front of them. But, I mean, look, we're picking hairs here. I mean, 12th and 14th, does it really matter? I do have there's 2 areas on that fan base rankings that I'm a little surprised by. One is C+ on free agency. And I think it's more so like they don't dive into free agency.
I think that's why.
Maybe, but like that's where you're going to knock them. Like when do you feel like they haven't dove into free agency and not bettered their team with guys that are out there?
I mean, the Torrey Krug thing didn't work.
But that was, what, 5-6 years ago? I mean, this is talking about now. Like, see, like I think a lot of people like on the write-up.
What have they done, though, in free agency to improve their roster?
Well, at the time they signed Brandon Saad. That improved their roster. Now, it didn't pay off at the end.
As you said with Torrey Krug.
5 years ago. I don't know if there's been guys in free agency, though, that you look at and you say they should have signed X player because of the cap situation that they were in, which, again, I'm fine with a B- on cap management because through a flat cap, you did have some extensions that I'd look at and I'd be like, well, what are you doing here? Like, we've talked about it with the Nick Leddy extension. We've talked about it with the Pavel Buchnevich one.
But I would say, though, then that's right. Like, if you...
I think I would have it. When they go after free agents, though, they don't make the wrong choice. I don't feel like. They don't overpay to get free agents. Like, I look at teams that are on this list like the Vegas Golden Knights, who free agency, where were they ranked? They were ranked an A-. I don't think Vegas has done a great job in terms of free agents. They've crushed it in the trade front. They haven't really gone out there. Petro has been about it, but, I mean, they've signed guys that they'll cut probably the next year. I mean, a couple of the goaltenders they've had to move on from.
But they're not big moves.
They're not, but I mean, that's where I could argue with the Blues. Like, they get an A- for Alex Pietrangelo, and the Blues get a C+ because of Torrey Krug from 6 years ago. Like,
they just don't have a win like that.
I just don't feel like
Petro was a big part of them winning a cup.
I just don't feel like they dive into free agency enough to be a C+.
And that would be my critique, is they don't really dive into free agency, so why would I give them a higher grade when you're not having any of these like wins in free agency? I'm going to need to see more on your resume to give you a higher grade. It's not so much a critique as it is just like hey, I can't give you higher than a C+ because there's really nothing to show for here.
I guess, I would just look at it as, and maybe you tie this into cap management or roster building. Like, I look at it as I give them a higher grade to know, like, this is a free agency class that doesn't benefit us. But the other one that I had a little bit of, like, I don't know if it's a gripe with, but it was more the cap management front. And I know gets knocked with Pavel Buchnevich and Cam Fowler's extensions. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I think they've done a really damn good job in terms of managing that cap, in terms of guys like Thomas signing them to a fairly acceptable contract. Holloway and Brober, getting those guys locked up in an acceptable contract. Like, you look at the defense and how some of those have paid off. I feel like they've done a good job of managing through that roster or that flat cap category and keeping themselves in a position to succeed moving forward. Like, in 2 years from now, I feel like we're talking about them the same way people are talking about Montreal, to where it's like, look at how much money they have to go spend and bring guys in because they've done a good job with it.
Yeah, I think for this, the way that I would look at it is it's more reactionary than projection. I think reactionary, and what I mean by that is like looking back.
Yeah,
I think there have been some missteps in recent seasons. The Torrey Krug contracts didn't work. Now, I think a lot of that was because of the ankle, but that was known when they signed him that there was an ankle issue there. Maybe it became worse than they anticipated, but it was a thing. And you just never got the player that you expected him to be. I would say there was a mistake on the Nick Leddy front. I would say there was a mistake on the Cam Fowler front, giving him the extension as early as they did for the number that they did. I never felt as though that was necessary at that time. The other one is them going out and giving Pavel Buchnevich the extension. Now, that one I was in favor of. Mm-hmm. It's clearly been a bad move. It's up in the air right now on how this McTavish and McMichael
That's the one I think that will boost them if those guys pay off.
It might, but it could also go the other way where you're paying middle six players $6+ million when you'd rather have that $12 million of space available for you to go do something else. I wouldn't predict that, but I understand if somebody has that criticism or fear of what it's going to be. So I would say, again, B- feels about right to me with the way that people are viewing this. Where I would say I disagree with something is the public giving them a B- for their draft and develop. Yeah. In what world could you have anything other than an A? And honestly, I think for the fan base, it's a little low.
Well, honestly,
with a B+.
Trading is the one, too, for me. Like a B- and even a B. Like, I feel like this team deserves an A- for their trades.
I think they've done outstanding.
Their trade, like,
when it comes to trading and draft and develop, I think where they're missing is free agency and maybe some of that cap management stuff. But draft and develop and trades, they've been awesome. I've got very few complaints in that regard.
The trades one for me,
just Kevin Hayes. They missed on that.
Which, you know what? But what did they do? They got out of it, and then they still made
give up a second-round pick.
But they made good for it still, to where you got your second-round pick back, and you still were able to get. They
still had to give up a second-round pick the next year. So they gave up a second-round pick to get off of a player that they traded less than that for. Yeah, it was a bad move,
I guess, and that could be the knock on roster building or vision, because in the sense of Kevin Hayes, you could have just re-signed Ryan O'Reilly and what from.
They messed up. Yeah.
I'd look at them and say, like, trading-wise, with the exception of Kevin Hayes, we can have our gripes about that all we want. Trading-wise, this team always finds a way to pull off. And frankly, if you're going off of where you're at now, they just got 2 first-round draft picks for Braden Shen and Justin Falk on top of multiple prospects that raised their ceiling in terms of being 7th best pipeline in hockey. That, to me, is a masterclass in trading. A lot of this is just because of the uncertainty of Alexander Steen moving forward, which I guess is why you look at it and you'd be like, yeah, but can you knock the Blues when it's a different GM? Again, you're picking hairs at this point. You're splitting hairs at this point. I could be fine with them being anywhere from 11 to 14. I'll tell you the ones that surprised the hell out of me, Dallas being as low as they were and Buffalo being in the top 10. We're going off of half of a season for a general manager that took over Buffalo, that put them in a position to be in the playoffs. They lost Alex Tuck. They traded away Bo Byram. They haven't fixed their goaltending, and we're going to act like that's the 10th best front office that you trust right now. That's the one that I saw, and I'm like, I don't know if I'd have them there. I'd have Vegas in the top 10. I'd have Minnesota in the top 10 before I'd put Buffalo in the top 10.
I think Buffalo's done a really good job, man. You look at this roster and the way that they're set up now, not just for today, but for the future, I think they're in a pretty darn good position.
Yeah, but they lost.
And this offseason, I think they did a really good job of being able to manage this roster by going out and, move one of your defensemen, bring in Olin Zellweger, who's at $3 million, and getting younger and maybe like 70% of what Bo Byram can bring to the table. I kind of like what they've done with this roster.
I think that team misses the playoffs this year.
Really?
Unless they make another move to go out and get Connor Hellebuck or something, I think that team misses the playoffs because they didn't fill the void that was left by Alex Tuck. They didn't fix their goaltending. Your defense took a step back with no Bo Byram. And see, the thing about this list is, like, you're going off of the skepticism of what Alexander Steen can be. Guys, look at Jarmo Kekalainen's history as a general manager. He was the general manager of the Columbus Blue Jackets for about 5 years, and that's put them in the position they're in right now. So that was like if you're going through the list, and I saw Buffalo, I'm like, man, I'd have a couple of teams in the top 10 before I'd put Buffalo there.
I understand that. I get the critique, at least. For those curious, who ranks at the top of this list, it's Carolina. Team that just won the cup. No surprise there. Number 2 is Montreal. They've done a really good job. By the way, there's some buzz that Zach Bolduc might be getting dealt prior to the start of the season again. Nope, not interested. Number 3, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Number 4, Florida Panthers. And number 5 on the list is the Utah Mammoth. That's one that I think I might disagree with a little bit. They've had the easiest job in the world of being really bad for a really long time.
Well, Buffalo has too, then.
Touche. Utah, wasn't trying to win for most of the time that Bill Armstrong has been there. And he's done a pretty good job of hitting on some of these picks, at least we think. We're not entirely sure on that. They've got good prospects, though, so the hope is that they become good. They better make good on this eventually.
Yeah.
At some point, it has to amount to winning at the NHL level. Otherwise, it's just this repeated cycle of us talking about what their future is going to be without that future ever becoming the present.
Yeah. I mean, cap management, sure, they've done a good job, but they've got a ton of dudes on rookie deals. So, how are they done a great job of cap management when you haven't had to pay anybody a lot of money? The part for me is what you said with draft and develop. They've gotten some returns on Logan Cooley and Dylan Gunther. Those guys look great. But you don't know what some of these other top picks have looked like because they're still in their system. And I feel like I don't know if a B+ is where my vision is, because the vision was, okay, well, these guys need to turn into the development and start to win. And you've tasted the playoffs once in the last 3-4 years. So they're still kind of a team that I understand the excitement for them right now and all of the money that they've got and the draft capital and the prospects. They're waiting to be that team that makes the big move to push them into winning. And if they don't do that, I think they start to get points taken off of them.
Scorsy on the YouTube chat says 1 hour till the Riz Lane. That is correct. The Riz Show will be in today for the Fast Lane. They're going to have Joey Vitale joining them.
The birthday
at
boy.
2:30 today. Sklar Brothers, we'll talk with them. They're also going to do a little soccer talk. So get excited. The Riz Show in for the Fast Lane coming up at 2 o'clock. Stay tuned for that here on 101 ESPN. Coming up in 10 minutes, who's the Cardinals' biggest X factor down the stretch? We'll tell you in just a little bit. Junk Drawer is next on 101 ESPN.
Back to more of it. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Let's open it up. The Junk Drawer is presented by Bet365. With Bet365 early payout, you win even if they lose. Get paid out instantly when your team goes up big, even if they blow the lead later. Bet365. Winning is everything.
If you're somebody who believes that J.J. Weatherholt should win NL Rookie of the Year over Sal Stewart, the fly ball out that he just recorded is probably partially why. Because J.J. Weatherholt just hit a 96-mile-an-hour, like, big league pop-up, basically. And it traveled 338 feet and nearly went over the wall because they're playing at the Great American Ballpark. If that happened at Busch, it would have been 10 feet in front of the wall.
Yeah. But he's got elite defense, and his war is lifted because of it.
No doubt about it. All right, Alex, for the Junk Drawer today, did you see the latest edition of what's being recalled?
Yes, I did see this.
Blueberries.
Yeah. Blueberries
have been recalled, and according to the Daily Mail, it's been upgraded to the FDA's highest risk level, which includes, quote, reasonable probability of death, end quote.
Good old E. coli. It'll get you.
So there's that.
This is why you grow.
The following foods have been recalled within the last, 6 months, Alex. Go ahead and sit down if you'd like to get comfortable.
Okay. Sure. Sounds like it's a lot of them.
Frozen blueberries, iceberg lettuce, eggs, mixed berries, pistachio nut butter. I don't recall that one happening.
Oh, boy. My daughter
Green
uses sun
powder
butter.
Supplements had salmonella contamination.
Good.
I know that was something that our guy Bradford was really worried about. Jalapenos. Damn, that one hurt. Soup kit, salad dressing, granola, dog food, jalapeno peppers. Again, pizza, cheese, bread products, dried herring fish. Who's eating that? Soft ricotta cheese, multiple other cheeses, cottage cheese, organic morning capsules and powder, smoked whole herring again.
Whoa.
Some kind of mushroom, Parmesan ranch. It just continues from there.
Yeah. Somebody said the way to avoid this is T-bone diet.
Dude, I'm telling you, just eat pizza and drink beer. That feels like the easiest way at this point.
See your dairy, see your fruits.
If it's something that you don't cook, I would just assume you probably can't eat it right about now.
What is
going on?
This is why Katie has been so we need to build a garden in our backyard, and we started, but this next year will be when we really go into it. But we just try and grow everything because there's no point anymore. Everything gets recalled.
What? How am I supposed to go without blueberries? I have a toddler at home.
Just get the fresh ones. Don't buy the frozen ones, right?
Apparently, somebody on the text line said T-Bone's still living his normal life because he doesn't have to worry about any of
T-Bone's
this.
like, I'm good here. I just keep eating my Kraft singles that I get from the grocery store.
Even if he were here to defend himself.
It is insane. Every time that I walk through the grocery store, I'm like, can't have that, can't have that, can't have that. We went multiple weeks where I was like, man, you know what sounds good? A salad.
Oh, my God. Katie is so broken now because we'd have them probably 2 or 3 times a week.
Right?
I don't know. Katie's still skeptical of it. I've eaten a couple and I've been like, I'll just wing it. If I get it, I get it.
If not, I'm in trouble.
From the 314, bunch of sissies with a weak immune system. Nah, man, I just don't want to be sitting on the toilet for weeks on end. I'm
just
good.
Get irritable bowel syndrome. You feel it already. I don't need it coming out of the upstairs and downstairs, though. Just pick a spot and go that way.
I'm good.
Somebody just said BKO just hit on pizza and wings.
Yeah, that's
beer.
probably true.
Way to go, man. Now you've ruined everything for me.
I apologize in advance. But if you're a pizza, beer, or wing company that wants to advertise either with BK and Ferrario or with the Last Minute Blues podcast or the Redbird Report, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out to us on social media.
I'm just going to become a doomsday conspiracy theorist. I'm just going to live in a cellar and I'm going to grow everything in my backyard and just cook everything in my house.
I believe you on that.
Yeah.
Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll play a game of Believe It or Not. But next, who's the Cardinals' biggest X factor down the stretch? Talk about it here at BK and Ferrario.
You can now listen to 101 ESPN On Demand. Get caught up on all our shows and podcasts at 101ESPN.com or on the 101 mobile app. 101 ESPN podcasts are presented by the Schaefer Door Company. WXOS, WXOS HD1E St. Louis, 101 ESPN is driven by Auto Centers Nissan. Over 1,000 vehicles in one location. This is exactly where you want to be, listening to us. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
Alongside Alex and Bradford on BK, you've got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. So, Alex, I was reading Jim Bowden's latest piece, and he wrote about the X factor for each team across the National League for the wild card contenders. For the Cardinals, he said their biggest X factor down the stretch is Joshua Baez. I could see the case for that. He's a guy that could come up, hit for some power. I had a different take on this. I think the biggest X factor down the stretch might actually be Quinn Matthews.
Yeah.
Now, he's not somebody that is currently on the major league roster. I would assume that's going to change sooner rather than later. And after reading some of the quotes from Ollie Marmol out of the ballpark yesterday, I read these from Brendan Schaefer of MLB.com. He said, quote, I think there's a path to continuing as a starter for Kyle Leahy and then tapering it off into the bullpen in order to get to where you want to get when the regular season comes to its completion, end quote. I think Leahy's running into the innings limit here pretty soon. If and when that happens, I do wonder if they just piggyback that day and say on those days it's Quinn Matthews as a starter, Kyle Leahy as the piggyback option. However, they're not going to want Kyle Leahy to go 5+ innings as a piggyback. They're going to want him to be 2 to 3, I would assume. Otherwise, just keep him as a starter if you're going to go longer than that. So if he's only going 2 or 3 innings, and ideally you would want that day to be close to an off day for your bullpen, you're going to need 5 or 6 consistently out of Quinn Matthews. That's been the biggest issue with him. I'm not super worried about the overall effectiveness. The efficiency is my question. So I think one of the biggest X factors, maybe the biggest X factor down the stretch for the Cardinals, are you able to get those innings out of Quinn Matthews? Can he translate, get the swing and miss that you're looking for, and put hitters away a little quicker than what he did in his last outing, where it was basically 4 innings, and he's got to get out of there?
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. And I mean, Hunter Dobbins falls into this camp as well, and he's done a really decent job of it since he's been in the bullpen kind of full time. He's given you 5 innings at minimum, and that's really what you need from Quinn Matthews. That last start was inspiring because you saw the strikeout stuff and you saw his ability to escape danger. But he also had to throw like 40 pitches in 1 inning, and it put himself in a spot where he wasn't able to give you 5. And like that is going to be mandatory moving forward if the Cardinals want to stay in this race because of where your bullpen's at and because of the limits for Kyle Leahy. So I'm 100% with you on that one. I think that is and should be number 1 on this list. I like the Joshua Baez one. I also think Mason Wynn's going to be a massive X factor for this team.
Oh, interesting. I like that one.
Because his offense has picked up in the last month, and we've talked about that this week. And you need that offense to pick up to just have those complementary. But I think that defense is going to be so much of an X factor and plays into what we're talking about with the pitching staff that you need Mason Wynn to be the clutch player that he has been over these last few weeks and add in that Gold Glove defense to escape danger at times for your starting pitching staff. Because if they can continue to create contact and he continues to get you out of dangerous situations, now you're talking about pitch efficiency, and now you're talking about getting through those 5 innings a little bit easier. So I'd put Mason Wynn into that one just as much as I'd put a Baez into that one.
Bradford, who would you go with as your X factor for the Cardinals down the stretch?
Honestly, Alex did hit the nail on the head for me because in
Mason
light
Wynn?
of what we've seen offensively of late, you always know that the defense is going to be superior. But if you're able to further lengthen that lineup, and that's irrespective of what maybe a Joshua Baez can do, having that presence in your 6-hole being more than potentially an above average threat at the plate could really transform the lineup pretty dramatically, I would say.
It's a good call. Somebody on the YouTube chat, Soko Mo 2011, JJ needs to get hot. I think he's another one. They could really use him getting back on track. And that's not only for the NL Rookie of the Year conversation and the draft pick that could come their way because of it, but also just because like he's a table setter. And when he goes, they go. That this offense just looks different when J.J. Weatherholt is contributing in a meaningful way. he just hasn't been that same guy now for really the last 6 weeks or so, basically dating back to the All-Star break. The second half, he just has not been as good as he was in the first half of the season. I haven't looked actually at what the numbers are when it comes to his splits in that regard. I'll go ahead and take a look at that now for first half versus second half. But since the All-Star break, it does not seem as though he's been contributing quite at the same level. Yeah. So in July, he had a 675 OPS, and in August, it's 600.
Oh, okay.
And the big thing is he's not slugging to the same degree. 350 slugging percentage in July, 250 slugging percentage so far in the month of August.
Yikes.
He's not hitting for average. He's not hitting for slug. That's different than the guy that we saw for the majority of the first half.
And I truly think he's suffering from what Matthew Liberatore suffered last year from, to where you just saw it completely diminish at the end of the season because you had just been playing so much and you're trying to get established as what it takes to play in the major leagues, especially some competitive games like we're talking about down the stretch. So
Sal Stewart with a really tough defensive play, man.
Yeah. Shouldn't be rookie of the year if you can't make a play at first base.
You're seeing in this game why J.J. Weatherholt, not Sal Stewart, should be NL Rookie of the Year. Right there. That play defensively where he tried to go backhand and couldn't get it.
Him playing second base, wild.
Yeah, it's a choice.
Yeah. That's like remember when who'd they have play Pozo was at second base last year?
Pedro Paz.
It was Pedro Paz.
Pedro Paz, yeah. It's like, that's a choice you could go with there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely a decision that you can
he's
make.
so angry, too. God, he is so unlikable. Gets mad at a mistake he makes, and he just chucks the ball away. Oh, God! So idiot.
Is it the eyebrows?
No.
If we were talking about eyebrows, then the predecessor at the position from a few years ago, Joey Votto could have fit into that category, right? Yeah, sort of that look.
Look at this, Alex. The eyebrows are quite prominent.
Yeah, I mean, he's got Chris Kerber eyebrows.
Chris Kerber, I've never noticed that.
Yeah, Chris Kerber's got two caterpillars that are just trying to become one. Yeah.
I've never noticed that before.
Yeah, check it out next time.
Okay.
Some thick eyebrows.
It's all good. Tanner's at the plate right now, so we're going to add some insurance here.
Yeah, just like Tanner does. He grounds out to a shortstop.
Yeah, at least he got doubled off. Alongside Alex and Bradford on BK, it's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. By the way, the news that we probably haven't talked enough about, Liam Doyle yesterday was fantastic. Guy finished with 5 innings, 1 hit, 1 run, 9 strikeouts in the game. He has now allowed 2 or fewer earned runs in each of his last 7 starts. Opposing batters are hitting under 150 against him over this stretch, Alex. He has 33 strikeouts in his past 4 starts, which totals 21 innings. I think there's a decent shot we see Liam Doyle at AAA before the end of the year this year. And if we do, I think you're a phone call away from him getting up here to the big leagues. And at some point next year, I think the hope would be that you get Liam Doyle. Probably, I think Liam Doyle might be on a similar schedule to where you saw with Quinn Matthews from this season.
I was just going to ask, what percentage would you put it at that he wins a job out of training camp?
Out of spring training next year? 0. I don't think he'll be up at the big league level next year.
Yeah.
But to start out the season, I think you could see him at some point once we get into like July. If it's a normal season, let's say, you could see him up here by roughly July in a spot start capacity, similar to what Quinn Matthews did for them this year.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think somebody else will probably... I think Jurangelo St. is more likely to serve in the Hunter Dobbins role.
Yeah.
And Liam Doyle will be more in the Quinn Matthews
I'll give you this. By the time May rolls around next year, if we're playing baseball, you're going to have Franklin, Doyle, Senja, and who else am I missing? Franklin, Doyle, Senja.
Why am I blank? Jerpy, maybe?
Jerpy, yes. Jerpy.
Could be in that mix.
And then depending on what it looks like with Richard Fitz when he comes back, TK
Roby will be back into the conversation.
We're going to be talking about probably 6 or 7 starting pitchers pushing for a chance to play at the major league level.
Daniel Egan, guy that they just traded for from the Diamondbacks, could be not too far away at that point.
This is the first time Olimar Mall and his staff are going to have a lot of fun toys to play with in a Major League Baseball season.
Yeah. And you've got legitimate depth at the major league level. Hopefully by like this time next year, you should have legitimate depth for the major league team.
Thankfully, the Dodgers owners sending us into a lockout, though.
Dude, the latest on that story.
It is getting, this is such a, I think T-Bone said it, this is a Netflix documentary in the making.
It gets crazier by the day.
Yep.
Every day there's new information on some of the alleged loans that he's been taking out and basically like throwing money at different areas of his companies. and making it look as though he's not. Just go read up on it. It's absolute insanity.
Can't wait.
Coming up in about 15 minutes, is this the strangest situation that we can recall in pro sports? I want to let you hear what the Arizona Diamondbacks president and general manager had to say about what they know in regards to Ketel Marte. Spoiler alert, not much. We'll get into that coming up in 15 minutes. Believe it or not is next here on 101 ESPN.
They are St. Louis. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
All right, Bradford, you're T-Bone today.
Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could feel so
Free,
Flying away on a wing and a prayer.
who could it be?
Believe it or not, it's just me.
Damn, Brad.
314-399-9646. That's the Your Comfort Service text line for Believe It or Not. You guys give us a scenario.
dirty.
We will tell you if we are believing it or not here on BK and Ferrario. Just real quick before we get into this, Blaze Jordan's defense is starting to show up more and more. You saw it in this inning that we're witnessing right now. It's the bottom of the sixth. Cardinals are up 4-0. Michael McGreevy on the mound. They're trying to push him as long as they possibly can because they need depth. They need innings out of him to avoid having to go to the bullpen once again. And he had been pretty efficient for the most part. Outside of one inning.
He was at 75 pitches, I think, prior to the Blaze Jordan mishap.
Unfortunately, Blaze Jordan just can't knock down a ball in front of him and get the throw over to first. It ricochets off of his glove, goes over to the shortstop, which today is J.J. Weatherholt. I think this play probably would have been close, if not made, if Mason Wynn was in the game with his arm. But J.J. just doesn't have the same cannon of an arm that Mason does. And so they end up giving up the hit there.
Yeah.
It's a tough play, but it's one you got to have. It's one you got to make if you're Blaze Jordan. And he wasn't able to do so, ultimately allows that runner to get on. Next batter up ends up getting a hit. So now you've got runners on the corners, nobody out. De La Cruz in the top of the order coming up against Michael McGreevy. It's just the kind of thing, man, that stuff for this team shows up in a big way. And I do wonder if you're going to see some kind of a decision to go with Ramon Urias sooner than they otherwise would have, or to bring up potentially Nolan Gorman in order to alleviate some of these defensive miscues that have been happening over the last few days with Blaze Jordan. His offense is not carrying him enough to be able to deal with this.
Yeah, I really wonder if Ramon Urias is going to be the next call up on the off day and put him in that spot. In his first 45 games playing third base for the Cardinals this year, he's had 1 error. He's had 3 in the last 7 games, including today. Like, that's where it starts to really impact you as a team. And now look at it. I mean, McGreevy with 1 out at 75 pitches versus now he's got first and third with 84 pitches and nobody out. You're hopeful of getting him through 7 is now going to probably have to end at 6.
The hit from Hector Rodriguez was an 80-mile-per-hour single. It had a 150 expected batting average.
Yeah.
It's just one of those places you've got to make it.
Yep.
You know,
it bounced and it went into his glove and bounced right out of it. I don't think he's making that, though, because, like, he's diving, he's stretching out, and him getting back up and getting it over to first, I don't know if he's making that play regardless.
He should have. He should be able to. I think he's got a decent arm. It's just, man, he's got to be able to make that play.
This is how last night unraveled, though.
314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for Believe It or Not. You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are believing it or not on BK and Ferrario. All right, Alex, let's start out with this one. Believe it or not, the St. Louis Cardinals will have 2 different players this season that finish with at least 25 home runs and more than 100 RBIs. They've got Walker right now, who's just reached the 25 home run threshold. Burleson's at 21. Both of them have more than 90 RBIs on the season.
I'll believe it. I think both Walker and Burley are going to be at that feat at the end of the season. And what I'll find fascinating is next year, can you add a 3rd and a 4th into that? Does Yvonne enter that category? Does Baez enter that category? But I'll believe this one.
I'll believe it as well. I think a couple of weeks ago, I sold Burley short when it came to the RBIs. But absolutely, the pop that we've seen, what we've witnessed from him, he'll get at least 4 more. And absolutely, let's go above 100 for both.
Gonna believe it as well. What a year it's been for both Jordan Walker and Alec Burleson. Alex?
Good God, Sal Stewart's eyebrows. Those things are.
They're really
Those are thick. He just frowned at the plate and it looked like they were connected there.
Scary.
Believe it or not, by the end of the upcoming Blues season, the Blues will have 5 20 or more goal scorers.
5 20-plus goal scorers. Let me look through the lineup real quick.
Okay. So let's mark them down here. Snuggie.
Yes.
Robert
Holloway.
Thomas.
Yes. Thomas.
Yes.
McMichael.
Yes.
And then it's basically the last one that you're questioning
Butcher,
here.
McTavish, or
Neighbors. Dvorsky, I guess, could potentially get there. I'll say believe it, and that 5th one, I'll say is Jake Neighbors.
Same here, because the number is 20. If we were talking about much above that 25 range, I don't know, but I think you win with strength in numbers once more. Let's do it. Let's go 5 for sure.
I'm going to believe this one, and I think there's a chance you get to 6 because Booch, hope he has a bounce back, and then you're going one of Neighbors or McTavish. If McTavish and McMichael finish both with 50 to 60 points, you're feeling pretty good about what those guys are for your future long term, right?
We didn't quite get to this in NFL quick hitters, gentlemen, but I don't think A.J. Brown can, leave well enough alone. Patriots' new number 1 wide receiver confirmed yesterday that he has not spoken to Jalen Hurts since June's trade from Philadelphia. Anyway, let's talk about production here. A.J. Brown, believe it or not, never sniffs another peak season. So let's say 1,300 yards receiving, the likes of which we saw twice in Philadelphia.
Oh, not believe it. I think he hits it this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he gets it this year.
Ooh.
I think with Drake May, with Mike Vrabel, I think he gets that easy this year.
Give me the question again. Sorry, I was just watching the Cardinals game. We've got to update. With 1 out in the bottom of the 6th inning, Cardinals have loaded the bases. Michael McGreevy is out of the game.
My.
Yep.
Defense, man, the last 2 days have been the story of the game. And it's the same guy that I would put as like the starting point, the snowball effect. It started with a bad play by Blaze Jordan yesterday and a bad play by Blaze Jordan defensively today. All right, let's say that one more time, Brad.
Yeah, in short, no problem. In short, A.J. Brown, believe it or not, never has another 1,300-yard season receiving.
1,300, I'll believe that. But I think he's still going to be a really good player.
Yeah.
1,300 yards, just a ton.
but he's more like the guy in my estimation, regardless of a bit of taking a step back or whatnot. Throughout his career, he had those 2 extraordinary seasons at the height of the Eagles' success, but otherwise it's been a shade over 1,000 related to injuries, production system, whatnot. If he is that guy for New England, especially in the red zone, that's all you need.
Yeah, I'm believing this one. I think he gets there. I think they are going to use the hell out of him, and I think Drake May is going to love the fact that now he can heave a ball downfield and somebody come up with it.
314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for Believe It or Not. You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are believing it or not here on BK and Ferrario. From the 636, believe it or not, Liam Doyle, Rainiel Rodriguez, and Jerangelo Sainja will all make it to the big leagues at some point prior to the end of next season. Doyle, Rodriguez, and Sainja will all make their debuts next year. I'll believe that.
Yeah, I'll believe it. I think Sainja would be the one that I'd maybe most skeptical on, just depending on how it looks for the start of next year at AAA. I know he struggled a little bit. I think his last outing was pretty good, though. But I'll believe this one. I think you're going to see a lot of guys make their debuts next year if they play.
Same here. Call it unanimous. Maybe we're waiting until September, provided that we have a campaign to talk about. But yeah, let's buy it.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line from the 703. Believe it or not, a judge would never rule on college football eligibility. I don't know exactly what this is asking, but a judge will, has, and did rule on college football eligibility.
It's in court, so it kind of has to.
Yeah, so if you didn't see it yesterday, the latest update, there's been another case. There are more temporary restraining orders, and there are more players that are eligible for a 5th season. These ones have already been participating in both NFL camps and NFL preseason games.
Oh, yes. Man.
This is worse than the G League guys coming in.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, they're literally playing with the NFL teams. They're on 90-man rosters. It's late August. And they're like, hey, man, I can make $1 million this year for, I don't know, just to throw a random team out there, the Texans. Or I could go make $5 million as an edge rusher for Alabama this season.
Well, the same can be said for Robbie Avila if he comes back. I mean, he participated in Lakers preseasons.
Different, though. That was the summer league. Mm-hmm. That would be like participating in a rookie minicamp.
Gotcha.
This is, you're literally in training camp with the team. This would be like NHL players participating in training camp and deciding, you know what, actually, no, I'm good.
No, there's a reason the NHL basically tells college kids, like, you can't be at training camp, you just go straight to college.
No, BK, I told you in the office, literally one of the individuals, the newest individuals in question, has recorded Williams, a secondary member for the Arizona Cardinals, 9 tackles in 2 preseason games. Literal preseason action.
Yeah, Seahawks running back plans to enter the portal as well. So it's like, man, some of these college teams are going to be loaded up with some NFL players.
I'm really curious to see what this ends up looking like.
How does that work? So I guess they get to re-enter the draft then, right, too? If they are, like, really good in college, they can go into the draft?
Correct.
Wow.
That is correct.
Man.
314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line from the 314. Believe it or not, the Cardinals will make it to the playoffs this year.
I'm going to say not believe it. I think this bullpen's just in too rough of a spot right now, and they're still in this race, but I think the Phillies and I think the Cubs have run away with it, and really what you're doing is you're hoping that the Padres stub their toe. I'm going to say not believe it.
Can't believe it either, but I'll throw this one at you guys. Believe it or not, the Cardinals finish more than 3 games out of the final wild card spot.
I'll say believe it. That feels about right to me.
Mm-hmm. Close.
Somewhere in that range. I think they're like 3 or 5 games back.
Same.
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at as well. I don't think it falls completely off the rails, but you're going to stumble a little bit down the stretch.
I think we've just seen there are some deficiencies with this team that are ultimately probably going to hold them back a little bit from being able to get over that hump. They've made a little bit of a charge here, and it's been fun to watch. And I do think they are a better team than a lot of people gave them credit for this season. But there are other teams that were more incentivized to go for it. They did go for it more so than you did. And we're seeing that play out right now.
How about this one for you? Bernie Miklasz just tweeted this out. McGreevy facing a lineup the 3rd time through before today. He's got a 4.78 ERA, a 270 batting average against, and a 450 slug.
Makes sense.
Yeah. The 3rd time through thing, it is real for a lot of these guys.
I mean, far be it from me to disagree with something that Bernie tweets out. I mean, that's not that bad. Like, third time through, 4.78 ERA, that's okay.
Especially with somebody who relies particularly on pinpoint control and doesn't have the velo.
450 slug was the part. 12 of the 27 hits against him were extra base hits.
Yeah, I would expect that to be the case for a guy like him. I haven't seen it, but I would imagine that's kind of typical for starting pitchers that aren't number ones. And this is why, like, for anybody curious, why do you take a pitcher out the third time you see an order? It's because of things like that. You know, you see him for the third time, and suddenly your splits do significantly change when you see them that third time through. So that makes sense to me. It's not overly surprising, but it also helps to explain why he didn't get to face Sal Stewart right there.
Yeah, got him out before it really got out of hand. But also makes you wonder if you just make that play defensively at third base, that inning looks a lot more different.
No doubt about it. Alongside Alex Ferrario and Bradford Bruns, I'm Brandon Kiley. You want to hear a list real quick?
Here's the list.
I was curious because
we got the open.
The Cardinals are probably going to have two players. Bradford, you can take that bet down. Two players under the age of 27 have at least 25 homers and 100 RBIs, right? You've got it very likely with Jordan Walker and probably with Alec Burleson as well. Teams that had that over the last decade are the Braves. They had it in 2023 with Acuna and Albies. They also had it in 2021 with Albies and Riley. The Blue Jays had it with Bichette and Guerrero. The Red Sox had it with Bogarts and Devers. Colorado had it, and then they traded it away with Arenado and Story. Miami had it with Ozuna and Stanton. They traded it away as well. And Chicago had it with Bryant and Rizzo. Most of those teams went on to win a World Series.
Woof.
Unfortunately, we have to tell you about what just happened in the Cardinals game, and it is not good. We'll talk about it next here on 101 ESPN.
St. Louis summers don't play fair.
It's so hot.
So, don't let a midsummer breakdown ruin your comfort. At Scott Lee Heating Company, a Mitsubishi Electric Elite contractor, their team of certified experts ensure your system stays ahead of the heat. Call 314-756-9444 or visit scottleeheating.com today. Trust the Mitsubishi Electric Elite contractor that St. Louis has leaned on for over 40 years. Scott Lee Heating Company. Stay cool, stay safe.
The Scott Lee way.
Start your day with the morning after on 101 ESPN. Get in the know first on everything St. Louis sports with Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, and Martin Kilcoy. Listen to TMA weekday mornings from 7 to 11 a.m. on 101 ESPN. The Morning After is presented by Brown and Crouppen Law Firm. 101 ESPN Sports Center.
Season series concluding in Cincy. Good afternoon. I'm Bradford Bruns. Your Sports Center update is supplied by Universal Windows Direct. St. Louis and Cincinnati are locking horns for the final time this season. Reds now have a 5-4 advantage. Matt McLain slugging that grand slam moments ago. Jordan Walker inflicting major damage as well. Home run number 26, his 16th away from Busch Stadium. Also happening currently, albeit at Belle Reve, FedEx Cup playoffs action. Gary Woodland continuing atop that BMW Championship leaderboard. World number 1 Scotty Scheffler tees it up momentarily. Your Sports Center update was powered by Universal Windows Direct. You'll be saying, I love my windows.
Giving you the picture, the real big St. Louis sports picture. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN.
The Riz-Show Takeover coming up at 2 o'clock on 101 ESPN. They'll be doing the fast lane today for the guys, so stay tuned for that. 30 minutes away from the Riz Show coming in for the fast lane today. Cardinals down 5-4 in the top of the 7th inning. Unfortunately, things did not go well in the bottom of the 6th. First, it was Rodriguez, who reached on an infield single, is what they're calling it. We will go ahead and call it an error on Blaze Jordan. The third baseman knocks the ball down. It ricocheted off of his glove. Ended up going over to the shortstop, J.J. Weatherholt, who made a tough throw over to first, did not record the out. So he's on. Then Brian Hayes, this was real. There was nothing fluky about it. A single to the outfield. So you've got runners on the corners, nobody out. De La Cruz strikes out, and then Michael McGreevy walks Sal Stewart. They decided, all right, that's enough. Let's go to the bullpen. Let's put an end to this. We're going to Ryan Stanek to potentially get us out of the inning. Bases loaded, 1 out. Blade singles.
Yeah, they're essentially, sorry to interrupt you, but they're essentially doing the opposite of what they did yesterday. Correct?
Yeah, because they have him available.
Yeah, they're
today.
like, look, our bullpen's available. People are upset we kept Liberator in as long as we did. So this is the other side of what you get.
Yeah, and like yesterday they didn't have Stanek. Today they do. This is probably the move they wanted to make yesterday, but they couldn't because they didn't have him available. So you go to Stanek today, single, strikeout for Stevenson, and then a grand slam for McLain. Cardinals down 5-4. He gets a strikeout to end the inning, but the damage had been done.
I saw somebody say on the YouTube chat, our graveyard chat, that a game shouldn't blow up like that based off of one error. You're right, it absolutely shouldn't.
Agreed.
But your pitcher is putting more work in when he assumed that inning was started off with an out. I mean, again, he was at 75 pitches when that ball was hit to Blaze Jordan, and he had been rolling through. Pitch efficiency.
To me, it's even less about that. It's more about like, okay, so that should have been an out. Set aside Michael McGreevy here for a minute, or like the inning spiraling. It should be an out, and you just bank that. You have 1 out now in the inning. That's the important part of this. Now, when Brian Hayes comes up as the next batter in the inning, he's coming up with 1 out. Okay, he singles. Fine. No damage done. Then De La Cruz, strikeout swinging. Great. I've got 2 outs in the inning, runner on first. That's it. Now you've got Sal Stewart, where if in that scenario you've got Sal Stewart coming up, you probably pitch to him differently than if you have runner on first and third.
Yeah, because if a guy hits a home run, you're talking about a 4-2 baseball game.
And now I've got him coming up with just 1 on and 2 outs. I'm pitching probably pretty aggressively in that spot as opposed to pitching more around him. And the same thing is true for Blade, where things change a little bit. Even if Stewart gets on, it's 2 on and 2 out for Blade. And in that scenario, if he singles, it's probably a bases loaded scenario instead of guys scoring from third. And then the next batter strikes out. That would have been 3 outs in the scenario that we are presenting to you. Instead, they get to the next batter, and it's a grand slam.
Yep.
So why does it matter? Because you had to face one more batter. And that extra batter is ultimately what led the inning to go the way that it did. Yeah. You should have been able to end it with Stevenson. Instead, you got to McLean. He's a much bigger threat in that spot, and he hits the grand slam.
Yeah, and you're going to Ryan Stanek probably in a clean inning, and you're not having a game get out of hand. You're talking about a 4-2 baseball game with your bullpen starting clean and giving 6 innings worth for Michael McGreevy. So, yeah, it shouldn't have blown up, but more times than not, errors and walks will come back to hurt you. And
Absolutely.
That's what happened yesterday, and that's what happened today.
From the 3-1-4, all we needed was a ground ball double play. Bring in a sinker baller. Let's bring in Stanek instead. Ollie is a bleeping idiot. Who's the sinker baller you wanted? Who's the guy? I'll ask it. Like, who is it that you wanted to come into that spot that would have given you a better chance than Ryan Stanek? Because your options, you're probably not going to Gordon Graceffo. He's already gone 3 of the last 4. My guess is he's off today. Gastelum's gone 3 of the last 4. He's off today. So you're probably down the stretch here. I would assume Brule unavailable as well. Strzelecki just had 46 pitches 2 days ago. He's probably unavailable. I think your arms that are available. Oh, well, nope. Strzelecki is in the game right now, so he's apparently available rubber arm. Your options tonight were probably Stanek, Soriano, O'Brien. So if you go to somebody else there, remember, you cannot use them for the rest of this game because there was only 1 out, and you're going to have to get out of the inning with that reliever, so they're not going to continue later on. They're not going to go multiple innings after getting potentially 2 or 3 out.
Yeah. Also, Ryan Stanek, Justin Brule, Riley O'Brien. Gordon Graceffo's your best in terms of guys who have grounded into double plays when they're on the mound. He's given up 8. Brule, O'Brien, Stanek have all given up 6, grounded into double plays.
You needed the double play ball there, and you also needed strikeouts.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got big swing and miss stuff potentially with Stevenson and with McLean. These are their lineup gives you a lot of swing and miss. Your best swing and miss dude of the guys that I just mentioned there, outside of Riley O'Brien, who's coming in for the close, if you get to that spot, it's Ryan Stanek. So the move was fine. Ollie has mostly managed this series fine. Your guys aren't producing. Eventually, it's got to be on the players. Ryan Stanek didn't get the job done. You didn't have a third baseman that was able to make the play at third base.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this is about. We don't have to give them the out. We don't have to say this is a managerial decision. Like, sometimes you put the guys in positions to succeed, and they don't do it. They don't get it done. And today, they didn't get it done. Yesterday, they didn't get it done. It's frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, again, we have to remind ourselves, it's still a rebuild. As much as we can forget when they're in the playoff race and as exciting as it is, guys like Blaze Jordan at third base, guys like Ryan Stanek in your bullpen, those guys aren't in those positions probably on a championship-built team. Those are guys that are in positions that they're in right now, and it sucks to have to go through, but this is what happens when you're in the position that the Cardinals are in. And it's something that I have to remind myself when moments like that happen, because 2 years ago that happened, and it happened a lot. It's like, what are we doing here? Why are these guys playing in these positions? Now, it shouldn't feel that same way. It's the mistakes that happen when you put young guys into positions.
Yeah, I don't know what you were going to do here. Like, Bernie is on Twitter right now saying the McGreevy thing where, hey, it's third time through. You got to get him out of there. Man, so you're not trying to it's a 4-0 game. He apparently believes, and I'm guessing maybe there's some others that agree with this, that he shouldn't have been in there for the 6th inning. So you're taking him out after the 5th?
And he was rolling through with 70-something pitches.
So you're taking him out in the 5th. Now you're going to burn through your bullpen, and you're going to go to Brule, Soriano, Stanek, and O'Brien, I guess, to finish out the game today?
I mean, at least you
or
have...
Strzelecki. At some point, he thinks... So, like, is Bernie saying they should have gone to Strzelecki to open up the 6th? Is that the option here?
I guess because he struggles so much the third time through, but
those guys that I just mentioned are the better option there to open up the inning.
I guess
it didn't work.
I guess the argument is you got more of a lead than what you did yesterday, so a 4-0 lead, your bullpen should be able to get you through those with no problem.
Can you imagine if they would have pulled him before the inning?
Oh, I'd
People
be bashing
been
them.
Furious.
Especially if they lose the game because of the bullpen. I'm not as bashing this one as much as I'm looking at Blaze Jordan more than I'm looking at Ryan Stanek. If they pull him and let's say Strzelecki or Ryan Stanek give up these runs and you're losing 5-4, I am bashing Ollie Marmol tomorrow.
And you should.
Yeah.
You should, because you can't pull him in that spot. Your bullpen has been fried over the last few days.
How often do people complain about how he pulls guys too soon and you need to let these guys go longer?
Yeah, so he threw 19 pitches in that inning before he was pulled. That means you would have pulled him with 71 pitches through 5, allowing, I think it was 2 hits and no earned runs. No chance. No chance he's pulling him in that spot. Nor should he. That would have been crazy.
That dude was rolling
to pull him in that moment. And you needed him to get deep into the game. We, again, said this prior to the day today. You got to get this guy to get through as many innings as possible to set you up in a good position going into this weekend. They're up 4-0 going into the inning. You can't plan as a manager to play scared. You can't. And what Bernie's suggesting here, and I like Bernie. Bernie's the best. He's been nothing but good to me. That we can disagree on baseball things, and that's what this is. This is just disagreeing on a baseball opinion here. If you don't throw Michael McGreevy out there for the 6th inning, you're managing scared.
Yeah.
That's what that would have been. And Ollie should not and did not manage that inning scared. He took his best shot, and it came back to haunt him. Yeah. Sometimes that happens.
102 pitches the last time out against the Cubs, 102 versus Colorado, and 91 against the Yankees. Like, that guy was going to go to 100 pitches. And because that game got out of hand because of the error, you had to revert to something else. But yeah, there's no way you pull him at 75 pitches. The last time they pulled Michael McGreevy below 75 pitches was that blow up against the Cubs 1 2/3 where he'd given up 7 runs. You don't pull a guy at 75 when he's given up 0 runs through 5 innings and he's rolling through it, regardless if the numbers tell you that the 3rd time through he struggles.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. From the 314. Guys, the sinker baller you needed in that spot was the guy that was already on the mound. Leave him in, let him battle. Ollie is a you-know-what. I could argue for easier.
Leave him on.
Than I could to say that you should have pulled him prior to the 6th.
Because Stewart was 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a flyout.
Stewart was the one that just walked. So it was Blade that was ultimately coming into the game in that spot. And that's where they made the call to go to the bullpen. So J.J. Blade, 765 OPS, lefty hitter. Lefties have given McGreevy some trouble this year. He is hitting for damage, but not really much average against righties. He's got an 800 OPS against them. Ryan Stanek's the guy ultimately that you brought into the game for that spot. Ryan Stanek on the season against left-handed hitters specifically has been pretty good, actually. 220 average, 400 slug. Meanwhile, you look at what Michael McGreevy has done against them, and you've got to take into account he's worse the further that you get along into the game. Opposing lefties on the season are batting .260 against McGreevy with a .440 slug, 12 home runs on the year against Michael McGreevy. So those are some of the numbers that influenced the decision. That one, I thought what we were going to see, Alex, when Ollie came out to the mound. I don't know how you felt in the moment. I thought what we were going to see is the classic Ollie Marmol. I'm coming up here to make sure you know this is your last guy.
That's what I thought. I thought he was doing the pump up to try and get him through that last hitter.
I was a little surprised when he pulled him there. But I understand it because of the left-handed nature of it.
And because you had guys in your bullpen that at least you could go to in this spot. Regardless if you don't want them to go to Stanek, I don't think they're really going to anybody else that gets you all warm and fuzzy with the bases loaded and nobody out. But at least in that position, it's like, look, I thought it was going to be the pump-up of, hey, you've got this, get through this, and then we'll be fine. And instead, I would have been fine either way. I wouldn't have been fine with them starting that inning with no Michael McGreevy.
And Stanek is theoretically a good matchup for Stevenson and McLean. Because Stevenson has a lot of swing and miss in his game, and McLean has been terrible against right-handed pitchers this year. He just made the pitch at the wrong time, wrong pitch, wrong time to the wrong guy.
Yeah.
And McLean hit it a really long way. It was only McLean's 8th homer against a right-handed pitcher this season. He's had more than 250 at-bats against righties. Like, he has not hit for power. He's slugging .330 this year against right-handed pitchers.
And frankly, like you said with Blade, it's like he gave up the run, but you gave up 1 run, you had the bases loaded, and you still had 2 outs with 1 guy left. Like, Stanek did what you needed him to do. It's just you made that was a bad pitch. I mean, it was right down the middle, a fastball to try and sneak by him, and he made you pay for it.
Man, this series, if they lose this game, you're going to look back on it and say,
this is going to be the one.
That was 3 winnable baseball games, and you lost all 3 of them.
Yeah.
Because you had it there was 1 out left, and you gave up the homer to tie it against Cincy in that second game of the doubleheader. Yesterday, it was the miserable inning defensively that ultimately let that one get away. And today, it's the one inning where you had a defensive misplay and then a bunch of just unfortunate series of outcomes for your pitchers.
Yeah.
And, man, rough one going into Philly as they leave Cincinnati later on this afternoon, travel to Philadelphia to take on the Phillies in what could be, depending on the outcome of this game, pretty damn big series for both teams at the
And
bank.
the Phillies are rolling, too, which is going to be rough if your bullpen's not 100% for you.
It's 1:45. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. In 15 minutes, you'll hear the Riz Show take over for the Fast Lane today. They're going to have BT join them at some point, we think. It sure seems as though he's going to be available. They also have Joey Vitale joining them today, the Sklar brothers. They'll have some soccer talk, so stay tuned for that. The Riz Show, special edition of the Fast Lane as they pay off their Pick'em Punishment Challenge later on this afternoon. We'll hit the rewind tie bow on this thing next year on BK and Ferrario.
The NFL preseason is on ESPN. Tonight, Texans and Raiders. Pregame at 6:30, kickoff at 7. Your destination for the NFL in St. Louis is 101 ESPN.
America is turning 250 this year, and Circus Sports is celebrating by offering all users in Missouri $250. For everyone in Missouri, all you have to do is deposit $250 on your Circus Sports app, then play through that deposit. Once you do, Circus Sports will reward you with $250 right in your account. This is available for everyone in Missouri, new and existing users. Celebrate 250 years and find out more at circusports.com today. Must be
TMA? Then nominate yourself to be the Morning After Listener of the Month, and you could be selected and score a Form Energy prize pack. Sign up now at 101ESPN.com or TMASTL.com. The TMA Listener of the Month Club is presented by Form Energy. We do the work. We're right back to more of it. It's BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Let's run it back with a daily rewind on BK and Ferrario. Brought to you by Gloria Lou, your home sold guaranteed realty. Selling your home begins at GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Alongside Alex and Bradford on BK, rough one for the Cardinals today. Down 5-4, middle of the 8th inning. Reds have one more opportunity to add on before the Cardinals' last-ditch effort to potentially try to tie this thing up or to ultimately win the game. If you guys missed anything from our show today, you could check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. It's all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
That 101 ESPN app is free to download. Super easy to use, and it is sponsored by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Joshua Baez, if you missed it, was just caught stealing second. So your ninth inning options for the Cardinals to potentially come through are Nathan Church, Brian Torres, Blaze Jordan, and Jimmy Crooks. What could go wrong?
It's one run, BK. It's one run to tie.
The good news is that Jimmy Crooks portion of the batting lineup always has that power threat.
We'll say this. I like Joshua Baez's aggressiveness on the bases. It didn't work there, but I like the fact that he's willing to go. How many times have we seen this, Alex, where guys come up from AAA and they've had success stealing bases down there, they get here, and they just refuse to go?
Yeah.
They get scared. They get spooked. They think that they're going to have a pickoff move for him. And like Joshua Baez is like, nah, man, I'm confident. I'll go take that bag. All right, cool, man. Great.
What Luddy told us yesterday about how this dude he is confident in his game and he just continues to go about his business. He doesn't get frazzled. They need more guys like that don't come up and say, man, if I make a mistake, I'm going to get sent down. Josh Baez has been struggling at the plate since his first game. But you know what the guy does when he gets on base? He's going to run. He's going to showcase his speed. And that, I think, is a good thing to have the Cardinals. More guys that have that confidence, because that's how you avoid those massive slumps in your career.
YouTube chat from the Paul Moe. Is it helpful to let Joshua Baez go 0 for the rest of the season and run into outs and generally embarrass himself?
Okay.
Yeah, if you want the honest-to-God answer, yes, it is. Find out where the limits are to your game. It's super valuable to know what can I get away with up here?
Yeah.
How far can I stretch the limits, right? And then you can reel it in from there. This is what I've always said about, like, when you get these reports from training camps across the NFL, Alex, the idea that guys are throwing interceptions right now, people freak out about it. Guys, that's fine. This is the time to do that. Find out how tight is the window that I can throw into right now? How much can I rely on this wide receiver to go up and get it? All right, what is this guy going to do to break on the ball in this specific spot? You find out those things now at this point in the preseason to learn what your limits are. And the same thing is true for Joshua Baez. I want him to learn right now what he's capable of against this level of competition.
Yeah.
Because he could do things at AAA that he's not going to be able to do up here. There will be things that he finds out. Maybe that was an opportunity right there that you look back upon, and a year from now, he's not making that same mistake.
Yeah.
Right? Think about Mason Wynn the first time we saw him. He was awful.
Yeah.
He was really bad in the second half of that season. And then he went into the offseason and adjusted, and it made him a better player because of it.
And
so,
I think
this is super valuable for him.
Defensively, he had some errors as well because he just heaved it, but he never stopped doing what he was great at. You just keep going with that. So again, you have to remind yourself it's a rebuild. And in those, you want guys to test their limits. You want to find out what guys are made of. And that helps you judge what next season is going to be. The only way Baez goes into an offseason and works on areas that he struggles in is if he gets chances at the major league level. And guess what? It's why I want to see a Leo Bernal up here at some point. Like, Jimmy Crooks knows what he needs to work on. And working on it at the major league level might not be the best spot. Give a little to a Leo Bernal. Let him figure out what he needs to work on. You've done it with the pitchers as well. It's a tough spot to be in, but it's the fresh reminder consistently that the rebuild is ongoing and you need to develop these guys.
YouTube chat, guys, Pagan's going to come in and close out the door on the Cardinals. Probably. That's probably the way this is going to go.
Does that surprise you?
Yeah. If they end up losing this, Alex, we've got a couple of minutes left here before we hand things over to the Riz Show, who's filling in for the Fast Lane. For those curious, bottom of the eighth, no outs, one on. Strzelecki walks the first batter that he saw. He's facing the top of the lineup right now for the Reds, and that does, yes, include Sal Stewart. If this finishes the way that it is right now, it's a 5-4 game. How are you going to look back, and we'll talk about this more tomorrow, but how are you going to look back on this series in Cincinnati?
I think this is going to be the one that is kind of the dagger in the chest in terms of the playoff hopes. Now, it's not going to take you out of it because you do have an easy schedule, but you just look at where the team is at. Leahy on an innings limit, your bullpen starting to really get fried. You lose a series to the Cincinnati Reds, and now you're going into Philly, who is still in one of those wild card spots. It just feels like this may be the series on top of Philly that pushes the team into, okay, the decisions that we've been 50-50 on of like, do we do this yet or do we wait a little bit longer? I think you start to lean towards, okay, now maybe you see Kyle Leahy innings limit just completely go to bullpen role. Maybe Quinn Matthews is officially just as a rotation guy. Maybe they make moves to bring up. I think this is the series that you look back on and you say, yeah, that was when it was over in terms of playoff chances.
Not that far, but I would say it's the one that got away. You should have won probably 3 of these games. You could have won at least 4 of them, and it's possible you can make an argument for all 5. And instead, they're probably going to come away with 2 out of the 5 as games they ultimately came away with as wins for them. And so you end up losing this series against Cincinnati, and this is each of the last 2 series now that you've lost against a team that you should be better than in the division. The Cincinnati Reds will have won 2 of 3 coming out of the break against you, and now 3 of 5 potentially in this series when the Cardinals are competing for something meaningful, and the Reds came into this series like 7 games below 500 with a run differential of -90 on the season.
Yeah.
That's not a team that you should be doing a whole lot of losing against. And you helps to contribute towards Sal Stewart's NL Rookie of the Year campaign.
He didn't make a play defensively.
I think this is maybe the thing. Ollie, I know, has said this before. I can live with losing. I hate giving games away.
Yep.
And for the Cardinals, I can live with them losing that second game of the doubleheader. You just lost it. Tip your cap. They hit a good pitch. It happens, right? The last 2 days, I felt like they gave it away.
Yes.
And that's what hurts about it.
And some of it is because your bullpen is just not in a great spot to where you can use, but a lot of it is your defensive blunders. You've made errors at third. You've made errors at first. You've forced pitchers to make more pitches than what they're capable or should be capable of doing. You've given it to the Cincinnati Reds, and this was the series that I think a lot of people looked at going in. This is how you climb back into the realistic wild card race. You win 4 of 5 in this, and then you go to Philly.
Appreciate each and every one of you tuning in today. If you missed any of it, check it out on the podcast page. You can also check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/101ESPN-STL. That is where you can see the latest edition of the Last Minute Blues podcast, College Football Connection, and also the Redbird Report. 101 ESPN this week has a chance for you to win a 4-pack of tickets to this year's Blues and Brews. That's coming up on Friday, September the 18th. It'll take place at the Anheuser-Busch Brewery, and you can get fired up for the Blues season with appearances by Blues players, food trucks, on-stage festivities, and so much more. Tickets on sale right now. It's presented by Michelob Ultra, 101 ESPN, and Scott Lee Heating Company. All the details to secure those free tickets can be found at 101ESPN.com and on the free 101 ESPN app. For Alex Ferrario and Bradford Bruns, I'm Brandon Kiley. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. The Fast Lane with the guys and the gal finish filling in from the Riz Show. They are up next here on 101 ESPN.
You can now watch 101 ESPN live on our Air Alliance Team Studio Cams. Catch every show live on our YouTube channel or at 101ESPN.com. 101 ESPN Studio Cams.
Presented by the Air Alliance Team Heating and Cooling. Getting the job done quickly, correctly, 100% of the time.